Good evening, everyone. Can I please get a motion and a second to reconvene the public meeting?
Motion. Second.
All in favor? Aye. I need a third one. Oh, aye. So can we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? And we will remain standing for a moment of silence for our servicemen and women. And please remain standing after the moment of silence as we have choral students here that are being recognized to sing the national anthem for us. And they will also sing Connecticut's alma mater, Brave Connecticut. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to invite our choral students up now.
The twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red guns bursting still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
So this is our alma mater. It was composed by Mr. Malfrance in the back. But tonight we have a little bit of a remix on it. Got it? 1, 2. 1, 2.
Where the shores of freedom's homeland meet the eastern sky, proudly stands our alma mater with her banners high. Brave Connecticut, speed her onward, glorious to the sight, where the lamp of freedom's learning burns forever bright. As the years go swiftly passing down the halls of time, fate may take us everyone to distant place and climb. Brave Connecticut, speed her onward, may she ever be home of courage, truth, and beauty through eternity.
Thank you all. So how wonderful were they? You guys were amazing. Thank you so much for that. Will the district clerk pro tem please call the roll?
Ms. Torregrossa,
Present.
Mrs. DiLorenzo,
Present.
Mrs. Napolitano-Ferno, Mrs. Mallon,
Present.
Dr. Centimore,
Present.
Mrs. Iannatelli, Mr. Colahipar,
Excitedly here.
Mrs. Poppy,
Present.
Mr. Hauser.
Present.
Thank you. Can I please call for a motion and a second to accept the minutes of the October 7, 2024 meeting?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. So these wonderful students that we just heard are here to receive some awards. I'm going to pass the mic over to Mr. Malafante.
Thank you very much. Before we begin with our musicians, I wanted to also draw your attention to your little gifts in front of you there. In honor of School Board Appreciation Week, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you all for your support for our students and programs and for serving on our school board. As a token of our appreciation, we have a special performance of our musicians, as well as a ceramic presentation for you. These gifts are made from some of our advanced ceramic students from the high school under the guidance of Mr. Vinny Osmers. We're very fortunate to have such a special ceramics and sculpting program here in our district, and like to recognize the following students for their efforts and creativity in making these double-rimmed bowls for you this evening. Maria Argueta Danucci, Connor Mastro Di Caso, Brooke Shergan, Caitlin Steffens, and Fabrizio Francucci. So thank you to them, and thank you for you all.
Thank you so much. Please extend our thanks to all of them.
Will
Thank
do.
you
Thank
for
you.
a great program.
All right, let's acknowledge some of our musicians, please. We have So coming up in November, the Suffolk County Music Educators Association, or SCMEA, will be having their annual all-county jazz concert, which features special performing ensembles comprised of students from Suffolk County. I'd like to recognize the following students who went through this audition process last year, were nominated by their teachers, and have been chosen to be members of the all-county jazz groups. So if I call your name, please come on up to be recognized. For the SCMEA All-County Intermediate Instrumental Jazz Ensemble, Mia Arenas, Ariana Moran, Addison Brasilier, Devin Connell, Bella Xiong, and Noah Huff. So those are our 6 students from there. Also coming up this month, the New York State Council of Administrators of Music Education, NISCAM, is going to have their annual concert for select 11th and 12th grade students. These students performed NISMA solo last spring, were nominated by their teachers, and were selected to participate. So if I call your name, please come up. The following students were recognized: Gabriella Grisafi, Ava Ross, Timothy Moulton, Brady Dunn, Olivia Ferrantino, Abigail Thomas, Austin Baker, Tessa Dollinger, Emma Zinkowski, Christopher Rappelt, Samantha DeLuca, Elizabeth Smith, Adam Aurelio, Gianna Stecker, Julia Nishke, Haley Premier, and Marissa Latasso. Sure, yeah.
we break out in song now? Very proud of everybody. Nice job. Encore, encore, encore.
The New York State School Music Association, or NYSSMA, holds a conference in Rochester each year, which features performing ensembles comprised of the best music. Last spring, thousands of sophomores and juniors from across the state of New York prepared for all state evaluations in the hope of being selected. And there were 600 students chosen throughout the state to participate this year, and I'm honored to say that Samantha DeLuca was selected to sing with the treble chorus in Rochester in December, and Marissa Latassa was chosen as an alternate for the festival. So come on up, please. Level closing. We're very proud of our students have been selected and invited to participate for these ensembles. I know they will represent Connecticut well. Once again, thank you for giving me this opportunity to acknowledge the artistic and musical talent of all of our students and all that they share with us each day. On behalf of all the art music teachers, I'd like to share congratulations to all the students. We're very proud of them, and we look forward to seeing our students continue to impress us with their talents and creativity throughout this school year. Move on. So for the next piece here, each of NYSADA, so NYSADA is the New York State Art Teachers Association, their 10 regions chooses one outstanding art educator annually for outstanding contributions to the field of art education and service to the regional and state organization. Last year, one of our NYSADA Region 10 representatives told me she was nominating Ms. Crystal Zagul Rivera, our art teacher at John Pearl Elementary School and Idlehour Elementary School, for this award because of her excellence in the classroom and her involvement in region activities. Throughout my time as her supervisor, I observed Ms. Zagul Rivera's excitement and energy she brings to her classroom. It is evident that she has a great relationship with her students, and they pick up on the enthusiasm that she has for the subject. One of her strongest traits she has shown as a teacher is her dedication to the students. Her room is welcoming and organized and lends itself to student-centered projects. She is constantly finding ways to bring new and innovative projects to her class, which allows the students to showcase their artistic creativity. In addition to our yearly art shows and exhibits, she also gives some of her students the opportunity to present their portfolios outside of school by encouraging them to enter the NYSADA Portfolio Project. Outside of our district, Ms. Zagul Rivera is also involved with NYSADA and SCALA, our county organization for art teachers and leaders, where she's an executive board member and also leads professional development classes throughout the program throughout the year. So please join me in congratulating Ms. Crystal Zagul Rivera, who was named the 2024 NYSADA Region 10 Teacher of the Year. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you. Can we just have another round of applause for all these great students and the faculty we have? Congratulations to you all. Can I So now we have a couple of policies. I'm going to do them one by one. Can I please have a motion and a second to approve the first reading of policy 0100, equal opportunity and discrimination?
So I need a
I just
separate
need a motion and a second.
motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
Yeah, so I asked for a memo.
Sir, your water bottle.
I asked for a memo to be put together by our law firm that I would like to add in. Last time 0100 was on the table for voting. Some of the community members came forward and asked that we add back in some of the verbiage. So, sorry, I'm trying to find my paperwork. I asked that we, the board, on an optional sentence, because some of the verbiage inside this policy is mandated by New York State, but this is an optional sentence. And right now, we have it as all students. I would like to change it to all students, comma, including transgender and gender expansive students. So we would add that in, and we would have to take a vote to add that line in for the 0100 policy.
I'm okay with that verbiage.
Okay, I'm not, because as you go down in the reading, it becomes redundant if you haven't seen it, when we already stated how all students includes everyone. I had said that if you go down into there's a whole paragraph where at the top, inside the paragraph, if you break it down, it already references trans. It's redundant when it also says gender identity and expression, actual or perceived gender-related identity, appearance, behavior, expression, or other gender-related characteristics regardless of the sex assigned to the person at birth, including but not limited to the status of being transgender. As our attorneys had already told us, the line could be taken out at all completely. The line could be, the whole line could be taken out, the whole sentence. Or it could say all, or it could say however the board decides. I'm for all because, again, we received an anonymous email or an email from someone, not really anonymous, that has an email address to it, that gave us a long list of different genders that, like, I don't even know how many, it was a lot though. And we are at some point going to miss somebody if we make it for this person, that person, this person, that person, instead of just making it all, which is, the word all is inclusive to everyone.
I'm okay with the language because gender expansive encompassed everything on the list that that person sent. That's what that meant. So I don't care about redundancy. It's fine. Good by me.
I'd rather leave it as all because, did you say gender expansive, it encompasses everyone? Oh, it encompasses just that list.
The one that Jax was referring to in that email
Right.
that somebody sent with all like the spelled out list, that we never ever take anonymous emails into account until right now. But that list, yes.
Okay, well, the thing is, it all actually encompasses them and everybody. It's literally everyone. So I'm fine with leaving it as all because at this point, you're gonna leave out everybody, even if you wanna go through the entire acronym. I know you said it's anonymous, but facts are facts. The acronym LGBT, if you go through it, lesbian, gay, bi, trans, all of those, you're leaving out, all you're doing is talking about the T in that acronym. So I figure it's actually much easier, and it's just, I think it could be a liability issue for us. We really have to watch when we segregate students, and when we do that, when we say all, we are protecting all of them equally because that is actually what we are here to do, protect everyone equally. So I would prefer to leave it as all. The sentence itself is actually not even, the lawyer had said to us multiple times, where I don't remember what terminology he used, but he said, we don't even have to have the sentence in there to begin with. So it was in there and we said, well, then leave it in there, but make it all. So we make sure we cover every single student in our district because that's what we are supposed to do.
So the sentence is optional. Sorry, Melissa, I didn't mean to cut you off. The sentence is optional, and I think that when we went through the second reading and we agreed on all, we thought we were encompassing all. And then we heard from the public that the transgendered and gender encompassing did not feel included in all. So this is our way of making them feel included.
And I will just say,
Did we survey the community, or did we just listen to one or two?
I'm gonna.
Did we survey the community?
That's one
Hold
person.
on, just let Melissa.
That's one person who came to talk because of this exact environment that's being set right now. I wouldn't want to come talk about this either
Melissa,
publicly.
please.
So what I was going to say.
That I said we should have a survey?
Just let Melissa
No, you're gonna
finish,
say that
please.
too.
No, it's
Since
just
you wrote an email that after you guys like to hide everything in emails.
I'm going to
we
finish
all
my
know that
sentence
we
and
like
then
to
you
hide
can go on
everything in
your
emails.
tirade. So
You
the thing
guys
with
like
all
to
is in
do a
order
lot of-
for it
Can we
to be.
please have Melissa, Jax, please have Melissa finish her.
Please call me by Mrs. Napolitano.
Fine,
Okay.
Ms. Napolitano,
So
for
in
no,
order-
please have,
Not you guys.
please have Melissa finish her
In order for
statement.
it to be all, the problem is after going and reading, after hearing but one community member, to say it's just one is to say that one voice doesn't matter. So I went and I looked into it. The thing is, the reason the language is important is because the all does not encompass when there's a group of people who feel like they're starting below the standard to begin with. So you're setting the same standard for everybody, but there's already a group that is feeling below. I do not understand. We are talking about a policy that ensures everybody a right to their education, essentially, and access to the clubs and the things that we offer. It is not that serious to like
Then
fight
why didn't
this.
we do this
tooth
when
and
the
nail.
attorneys were here?
Because we
You
also
guys
believed that
decided
all was all
to take
encompassing.
The hardest, and we all know this book, just let's show the community just because I want them to see. So this book is, and make sure that this is on the video. This book is what we're voting on tonight. This book was only given to us Friday or Saturday. This book is being voted on, even though I just came back from a convention where people who have many more years on the board than me, and many more than somebody with 3 minutes on the board and a year on the board. And at that meeting, they were very clear. We are going into a lot of different issues with policies, starting with, and we have the Title IX, we have the 100. We have some of the hardest ones we're going to be doing tonight, and talking about regionalization. And you guys are actually you have the majority, not us. And you had the opportunity to bring the attorneys here tonight. And instead of you bringing the attorneys here, this is what you guys like to do. You like to backdoor things. You like to show the community. I hope the community at home is listening, because Melissa, Marisol, and April had the ability to bring the attorneys here tonight. The attorneys who told us last time, you notice how they didn't want to vote on it last time. They didn't want me even talking about it last time, because last time the attorney said to all of you that other districts across Long Island used all. That's what he said. But you guys don't want to listen to that. So you wait until the attorney's not here. Like I told you, he's downstairs during executive. You hide everything. You hide everything from the two board members. You hide everything from the public, that's for sure. You do illegal board meetings on email because you want to hide everything. And more importantly, this book, any board member with any intelligence would know that we need an attorney here tonight to go over all of this. None of us are attorneys. None of us. And while I have 6 years of experience here, I don't have the experience of somebody with over 20 years. You guys had the ability to have an attorney here tonight. I went to a convention where they were clear. You will need an attorney for some of these policies. And that was people on all sides saying we need an attorney to guide us. But you guys know it all. So you guys vote, and I will not vote on anything in this book tonight because you chose Marisol to lead us down the rabbit hole instead of having an attorney here.
So we've already had the attorney speak on this particular policy twice. We are just approving new language on this one that we are discussing right now.
We all want to turn, so let Marisol go, then let Melissa go, and then let me go.
Thank you, April.
We all want to turn, Jack. We don't want to just hear
How many
Jackie talk the
people-
whole time.
How many people had this book longer? 'Cause we know
You
guys
have to give everybody a fair chance to speak. You can't just scream and yell over
Marisol, I'm
everybody.
asking you a question. Is this book, are all of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, are all of these, and this is 9, titles over here, are these all, have we gotten legal guidance at a board meeting on every one of these?
We have gotten legal guidance on the one we are voting for right now.
I asked about all of them.
But I'm telling you, we're talking about 0 100 right now.
Give transparency to the community.
And I must ask, what was the legal guidance on that
The
sentence?
legal guidance is that it's an optional sentence. We can use just all, or we can use all, including gender expansive and transgender students. We have voted, 3 people have agreed to do all, including transgendered and gender expansive students.
Yeah, so let's take a vote, because that, all
So-
3 of us agree.
Who's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye.
I'm a no.
Ms. DiLorenzo?
No.
Okay, motion passes.
Viola thought she
Can I please have a motion and a second to approve the first reading of policy 0110.2, sexual harassment in the workplace?
Motion?
Second.
Does anybody have any questions or comments?
I will not vote on anything in this book tonight without legal guidance. None of you have the experience to be voting on these policies without legal guidance here. When we asked you, 2 board members asked you to have legal so that we
Jackie
can
was in the
answer
policy
questions.
meeting with the
So
lawyer.
Ms. DiLorenzo and Ms. Iannatelli sit on the policy committee with legal present,
Can I explain?
and then
my
they bring the
experience?
policies to the board.
Who wants to answer?
I'd actually
Sure,
like
please.
to answer. Yes, I was in there. I was in there. We had one meeting, then we had a meeting the week after. And what went on in there, first of all, you've all seen the binder. I'm on here for a year, just started on the policy committee, and being handed all of these policies in a meeting with April. I've never seen somebody try to rush through a meeting. It is a situation where it is, you gotta move, we gotta keep going. It is nearly impossible to try and learn or do anything in these meetings. So at this point, going through all of this information, and now we find, and we have this binder, and I wanna ask everybody, we all received this binder at the same time, and I must ask all of you, have every single one of you read through every single page? Are you all truly prepared to vote on that massive binder without, 3 of you have not been able to ask legal? And I am within the policy committee meetings, and I am not ready to vote on this because I feel I do not have enough information. And I was elected to sit up here and do my due diligence to the community. We are policymakers, we set the policy, and I will not sit here and put my vote to something if I don't have a full understanding of what I'm voting on. I won't do it. So yes, I was in there, but it was not, it did not go well. Neither meeting went well at all, in my opinion.
Well, don't feel bad, because last year I sat on the policy committee with April, who only wants to do meetings when it's during her lunch break, or for as fast as they can be, 45 minutes. These policies in this book is all legal. We need to be talking to legal, and legal needs to be here on nights that you are voting on policies. The board president should be ashamed of herself, because during policy committee like this, books like this, in the past, we have had legal here to answer. And instead, you guys, you and April, unilaterally, like other things, have unilaterally made decisions instead of getting board members what they would like. We have questions. We have a right. Are you going to have the audience? Are you going to keep everybody, or is it not?
You're the only voice I hear. Go ahead, keep
Okay.
speaking.
Yeah, well, go ahead.
Well, I'd like to say this is only the first reading, and we have to vote twice. I'd like everyone to know that. And legal will be at the next meeting. So I just want everybody to know this is only the first reading. We actually have to vote twice on all the policies.
And is there a reason why
So
the
right
board
now-
wasn't polled to have legal? We
My-
bring legal
my
in for a
question
lot
is-
of
You
different
talk about everything
Does
else. If
anybody-
you wanted legal, you could have at any point in time made that clear. Don't act like in public, I didn't
I
know
don't
I
even
could do it.
understand why you guys
I'm
wouldn't have legal here for
appalled.
this.
Okay, so my
Why would
question
you
is,
not
does
have legal
anybody
here for
have
Title IX questions? Do you
any
understand
questions
Title
or
IX?
comments on policy
I'm sure you don't
0110.2?
understand Title IX.
Okay, so Ms. Iannatelli, how do you vote?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Ms. Napolitano-Ferno?
I'm abstaining without legal guidance, and please put that on the record.
Ms. DiLorenzo?
I'm abstaining as well to legal guidance.
Ms. Torregrossa?
For the record, no, I didn't read the book, but I did read the 5 policies we're talking about. I just want that to be clear, because it's not an entire book, so I'm a yes.
Thank you.
It's actually.
I have a motion?
It's not one page. Let's be clear on something. It's not one page.
Can I have a motion and a second to approve the first
It's
reading?
one policy. This is one. Okay.
Motion.
You're a lawyer? You're a lawyer?
Hold on. Can I have a motion and a
You guys are a
second to
joke.
approve the first reading of policy 0110, sex discrimination and sex-based harassment?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments on that policy? Ms. Iannatelli?
I'm a yes.
I'm a yes. Ms. Napolitano Furno?
Abstaining without legal guidance, and please put that on the record.
Ms. DiLorenzo?
Abstaining again for the same reason.
Ms. Torregrossa?
Yes.
Motion passes. Can I please have a motion and a second to approve the first reading of policy 0115, harassment, hazing, and bullying?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments on that policy?
Yes, I want to make it clear so that people at home understand that all of these policies have verbiage from Title IX and changes that needed to have some questions answered beforehand. Some of them, like I said, have some issues that need to be looked at before, because we're held liable in lawsuits and a lot of other issues that can legally come about that some board members who don't have any experience don't understand. I will not be rubber stamping, so I will be a no for this one as well.
Okay.
I have a
Ms.
comment
Iannatelli,
also.
you have a comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, since I was in the meeting, most of the policies are New York State mandated. The language that was changed in most of the policies is that we actually had to list our school district. We couldn't say just school district. We had to say Connecticut School District. But for the most part, most of the policies are New York State mandated. This really, the yes and no for the choice that we have, it's really, again, mandated. Besides the line from 0100, which is already done, I agree, that was an optional statement, but otherwise, most of these policies are New York State mandated.
They are New York State mandated, but that does not mean we blindly say yes to everything just because the government says say yes. We have to still read, we have to still do our due diligence. We should still try our best to understand what these mandated policies from New York State are.
Well, like the yellow highlighted change on this one, for example, is like the superintendent will establish a district-wide anti-bullying task force. I don't need a law degree to know I'm okay with that. So,
Okay, so Ms. Iannatelli, how do you vote?
I'm a yes.
I'm a yes. Ms. Napolitano Furno?
I'm a no. I'll let the rubber stampers put it through.
Ms. DiLorenzo?
Abstain.
And Ms. Torregrossa?
yes.
Great.
I'm sorry, can I just clarify? Are you a no or are you abstaining?
I'm abstaining without legal guidance, and I'm allowing the rubber stampers to just put everything through.
Can I please have a motion and a second to suspend the business meeting and convene the audit committee meeting?
Motion.
Second.
Ms. Sanders, the floor is yours.
Good evening. So each year, the State Education Department wants the school district to have an independent audit of the finances of the school district. And so I'm here to present the information regarding the audit for the year ending June 30th, 2024. Mr. Hauser, I believe, is passing around draft financial statements that we've produced as a result of the audit process. So I'm going to talk in general about the 4 documents that you have, understanding that you haven't had the chance to yet review them. Any questions that you may have, since I'm not going to go into specific detail tonight, please direct the questions to Mr. Hauser, and I'm more than happy to respond to any and all questions that you may have. So I wanted to start with the larger document that's within the packet of information that you have. It's the general purpose financial statement. And so at the planning meeting, we talked about the internal control structure, how we assess that and determine what our audit plan is going to be. And just a reminder, Connecticut School District has a very good internal control structure in place. That's the checks and balances over the financial transactions. I wanted to thank Mr. Hauser, Mr. Seco, and the staff at the school district, because I think they put a really good effort into the work that they do in order to keep the financial records and transactions in the condition that they are. We are reporting on a number of different funds, and these are funds that are under the control of the State Education Department as to how school districts report. Our independent auditor's report, which is right behind the table of contents, is perhaps the most important part of the financial statement. And on page 1, we tell you all of the funds that we're reporting on. There's 2 sets of financial statements, just as a reminder. There's the governmental activity financial statements, which are on the accrual basis. And then all of the other funds that you see listed underneath the governmental activities are those funds under the modified accrual basis of accounting. This is the way that the school district maintains their books and records. They file their documents with New York State at the end of the year, and they also go ahead and produce and file their budget. So the general fund, as a reminder, is probably the most important part of this report because that mirrors the activities of the budget. And just to walk through, our opinions are unmodified, except with respect to the extra classroom activity funds. We have a qualified opinion. We cannot audit at the cash receipt, the inception level. And I've talked about this in the past. You know, this is a difficulty for most school districts around New York State. We can audit from the extra classroom activity treasurer's records on up. But for those fundraisers that take place, for the many opportunities where students are collecting and raising funds for the activities and clubs that they're involved in, there's not necessarily a record of every dollar collected from whoever it might be for all of those particular functions that are taking place. So we are qualifying our opinion. We do look at the transactions from the extra classroom activity treasurer on up. There's a cash disbursement order that's used. There's a cash receipt form that's used. These are signed off by the student treasurer and the faculty advisor, and then further the central treasurer. And so those are all proper, but I did want to be clear on what the qualification was, okay? So the audit opinion goes on for a number of pages, and then behind the auditor's opinion on page 4, management's discussion and analysis gives you some overview information. So I wanted to talk about some positive things, the financial bullets on page 4. And so we know in this environment, it's very difficult because health insurance costs are rising, pension costs are rising. The two retirement systems are underfunded. When you look at your financial statement, you'll see that. And as a result, we know that the cost for pension is going to go up for both of those systems going forward. And so the objective, obviously, is the budget is put together with your best understanding of what's going to happen financially. And the Board of Education and Administration did a really good job with respect to 23-24, with putting a budget together that was a budget that could be lived by and that could be adhered to. There was no overspending of the budget. You also were able to go ahead and use some of the savings that you had against this year's budget, because the budget's watched throughout the year, obviously, and replenish some of those reserves that you used to support that budget. You're using a good amount of funding between your appropriated fund balance, which comes out of your unassigned fund balance, plus your reserves, to support the budget on an ongoing basis. And so the objective is, in order to perpetuate that, you have to have savings on the budget, and you have to be cognizant of the fact that this $12 million worth of combined savings, okay, and fund balance that's being used to support the budget. And the objective is to make sure that those reserves or reserves that can be replenished, okay? In this year's budget that we're in, 24-25, there's over $7 million of reserves that are used, and that, you know, there's a good sum of appropriated fund balance. So the district was able to go ahead and replenish some of the reserves, but not to the extent as in prior years, okay? And so things are definitely tighter than they were in previous years. And, you know, it's good that the administration, it's good that you, the board, you have information that's coming from the administration, are looking at that information and making the decisions to be able to be in a situation to be able to continue to support the budget, okay? So I did want to bring that up. There's a lot of capital activity going on. When you look at the financial statement, there's pages by project, and the projects are all approved by the state, as we know. There's expenditures, there's funding sources that are displayed. And so on page 4, at the bottom of that page, there's a discussion about the various projects that are taking place. We know that the district went ahead and, with respect to their $45 million authorization from back in 2019, used DASNY, because DASNY was the Dormitory Authority of the State of New York, because DASNY had a very good interest rate last year. So they went ahead and they took $32 million. They used part of the capital reserve, okay, which was built up over the last number of years, and they went and they financed through a loan through DASNY so that they could take advantage of the lower 5% rate. So that's one positive thing that also took place last year. The other thing that the district's been doing is using their capital reserve dollars to go ahead and fund capital projects. And then the third thing is the authorization from May of 2022. It was just a little bit less than $60 million because of the interest rates. What the district's been doing, rather than permanently bonding, is borrowing on a temporary basis. You're using bond anticipation notes, okay? And you're not borrowing and spending more on interest than what you need to. So I think that's really positive based upon all the capital work that you have. One of the things also that we have to look at as auditors are the reserves. Are they, with respect to the reserves, are they being funded in accordance with board authorization? Or are they in compliance with general municipal law and education law? And the answer to both of those questions is yes. Okay, so they are. That's a big part of what we look at also. On the second document that you have behind the financial statement is our communication to the board. And so it starts off, we have audited the financial statements. And so the point of this document is if we had any difficulties in performing the audit, they would be noted within this document. And on page 2 of this document, there were no difficulties. Page 1 talks about aspects of accounting practices, whether or not there were any new policies adopted. There weren't last year. There will be some policies prospectively for 2025 and 2026 that will have to be adopted. We had proposed some adjusting journal entries. They sound bad in this document. We're using the terminology that has to be used. So it says corrected and uncorrected misstatements. So I wanted to kind of put that in perspective for you, because what that means to those of us that do accounting is those are adjusting journal entries. But it's the terminology that we must use, corrected and uncorrected. What I will say as a result of the audit, the district is very good with whatever proposed adjusting journal entries we have, making sure that they're incorporated in the books and records in the ST3 document that's filed with New York State. Okay, so we have, part of the process is we want to make sure that those records in our audited financial statement match up, and they do match up. At the tail end of that document are the adjusting journal entries, so you can get a sense as to, across the various funds, what we had proposed. In looking at the internal control structure, the third document talks about some areas within that internal control structure that we're suggesting maybe a different way to approach the procedures that are in place. Just a reminder, there's 3 levels of internal control structure findings. One would be a material weakness, which means that there's a problem with preventing, detecting, and correcting errors within the financial information that could lead to fraud or misstatement. So there's none of those noted. A significant deficiency is a little lower level than a material weakness, but still the same thing. There could be something really wrong with the internal control structure that could lead to a problem with respect to the reporting or custody of assets. So we have none of those types of comments that we're setting forth. Instead, within the management letter, as I said, we have 3 comments from the previous year. The district went ahead and they responded to 2 of the 3 favorably. One's a little bit more difficult to work out. One's a programmatic comment. So when you look at the management letter, it's the first comment. It has to do with your preschool program that you're offering. It has to do with, it's a function of enrollment, and it's a function of a rate that's set forth by New York State. And basically what happens is the rate times the full-time equivalents of students attending is your capped cost. And sometimes it costs more to run the program than you're actually getting reimbursed from the state. Okay, so that's something I know that the district is looking at, because we had the comment in a previous year's management letter. The amount that was not reimbursed by the state is less than the previous year. So cost containment is definitely a play here, but unless you have full enrollment, it's very difficult, honestly, to be able to break even from a financial perspective with these particular programs. We had 4 current year comments. One had to do with cash receipts and the extra classroom activity funds, as I talked about before. We're suggesting 2 individuals get involved in counting the cash receipts, signing off on it, and then having those transmitted to the central treasurer as soon as possible, okay? And then the central treasurer signing off on that. We had a comment, there's some capital project fund money that's available for the district to determine how they want to go ahead and reallocate it. So it's an opportunity, as you have all the other spending going on for the various projects, to see whether or not you need to supplement with some of this available funding that had been that had been left over from previous year's projects. And we had a comment about capital asset as far as reconciliation and computer permissions. So nothing egregious, as you can hear, just some things that we're suggesting additional procedures be looked at. The last document is a cash basis report on the extra classroom activity funds. So there is a discrete accounting and set of records for each of the clubs and activities at the various buildings. And so this is now receipts, disbursements by each particular club and activity with an ending cash balance. There's about $800,000 in round numbers of activity that runs through collectively the extra classroom activity fund. And the ending balance was about $230,000. Were there any questions at this point?
Anybody? Thank you, Ms. Sanders.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Hauser and your staff.
Can I please have a motion and a second to accept the 2023-2024 external audit report as presented? Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can I please have a motion and a second to adjourn the audit committee meeting and reconvene the business meeting? Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I will now open the floor to the first open public comment portion of the agenda. Do we have speakers before I go through the whole thing? I will call individuals forward one at a time. Please wait for my acknowledgement before stepping up to the podium. You should have received a number card from security on your way in. If you have not, please see a security guard in the back of the room. Any persons wishing to address the board shall address the board president. Comments should be kept as brief as possible and relate to school matters only. Each person will be limited to 3 minutes for one or more topics. Individual employees, parents, or children should not be identified by name, title, position, grade, or building. The use of foul language and threatening comments will not be tolerated, and the board will consider a recess until order is restored. Number 1. Okay. Just press the button on the mic for.
By thanking 3 of you who have voted that sentence, that word added on, because they are fragile. Transgender students are fragile in Connecticut because of you and you. Every board meeting, you bring them up. You criticize social.
Let's not attack any board members. Let's just.
I'm just making a statement of fact.
Go ahead.
It's a statement of fact. They say how they treat social workers and administrators, telling them what to do, how to treat transgender children. Inappropriate. What they're doing here is Mothers for Liberty. They're hurting our students. Everything that you talk about hurts our students. They're not to be singled out. They're not crayons. They're people. And you have to understand and respect them and call them students, not transgender, not Black, not LGBTQ. You're costing this district a fortune in legal fees by your actions and behavior. You can smirk and smile at me all you want. You know I'm telling the truth.
Please address me. Thank you.
I'm being smirked at. You know, why aren't you talking about where, you know, you talk about only one mother talks about transgender kids. No, we all care about transgender kids, Mrs. DiLorenzo. We all care about them because they're students in Connecticut.
Please address me when you're at the podium.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'll address you.
Thank you.
Mentioning her name. How's that? How about talking about students in AP exams? I never said that.
You want me to find it?
No, please, let's give the public their time.
They're taking my time.
Please let's give the speakers their time and the courtesy of their respect.
You know,
Please.
how many students get 100 on their AP exams? I'd like to hear about that. That's good discussion. What about Regents? How many students get 100? I know when Dr. Adams, there was 1 student. By the time she left, we had 50 students. Where are we now? I'm just asking. These are questions that this board should be talking about, not transgender students, not Black kids, not crayons, not arguing all the time, not grandstanding. Let's talk about education. You know, what What about, I'm curious about, what are we doing with our writing skills in elementary? Have we even gotten better than we were? Are we working on that? What about our we talk about security, but what's the real problem? Bullying. Every child that has used a gun has been bullied. Why aren't you looking at that more seriously? That's the issue. It doesn't have to cost millions of dollars. Teach the elementary teachers as a part of their curriculum. Every day they have 5 minutes to talk about bullying. Give them the tools to teach the kids. That's how you solve the problem. Not by bringing guns in school, putting up all sorts of nonsense and spending millions of dollars of taxpayer money. Do something that's positive, that solves the problem. You know, why don't we talk about here?
Gonna need you to wrap it up if that's okay.
I'm wrapped up. I'm wrapped up. You know what? Let me just say this. I care about transgender students, Mrs. DiLorenzo. I care about them very much because
Please address me.
Students. I'm wrapped up.
Okay. Thank you. Number 2.
Hi. I would also like to thank you for the vote tonight to support 0100 with the new language. But I would also like to speak about the comment that you'd only heard from one community member about this language. 2 things about this. First, that one community member has given you a lot of numbers. She has detailed the mental health risk and the suicide risk that LGBTQIA plus students face. Can you tell us of another group of students with similar risk numbers? Also, to reiterate what Melissa said, this is a group of students that does feel less than. To include that language helps them feel seen, helps them feel people care about them, people are acknowledging them. The other thing that I would like to say about one community member speaking is the LGBTQIA plus community has heard vocal support at several meetings over the last 2 years. And that one community member has had support from the Connecticut community at recent meetings, including tonight's meeting with the signs. I am lending my voice to the chorus tonight, but I don't want to hear from me on this. I want to hear from someone who has a personal investment in the words that you should be hearing. I want to hear from someone who lives with this in her heart. I want you to understand that the weight of one voice is sometimes worth more than the mountains of many voices. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 3.
Good evening. I just wanted to put a real-time perspective on a lot of the things that were said tonight. Because as a grandfather of a trans student who graduated last year, I think most of you people know that, he's currently at NYU. And I must say, he's perked up since he left here, okay? He's starting to see, support from a larger community that actually understands in many ways the real world. But the real world, which I'm going to go through right now, is desperately discriminating against these people more so than ever. The other day I was watching the Georgia Texas football game on ESPN. It's supposed to be a relaxing Saturday afternoon. Most times you'd have your family, okay, even my grandson, okay? Think of that. Watching ESPN on a recent Saturday afternoon, I was stunned by the number of commercials, probably about 5, that were anti-LGBTQ and dehumanizing on purpose to the trans community. They were political ads. The dehumanization of adults as well as children about 2 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon. Family time, okay? All family sitting together. was for political gain, was intended with the intended goal, with no regard for the mental anguish suffered by young viewers. This is intentional, tens of millions of dollars being spent by our country to attack trans people, trans children. While all viewers would not be traumatized, the word all, LGBTQ and trans children were targeted by tens of millions of political dollars for political gain. Sadly, national politics in our country today has created a heightened mental health crisis for trans children. Not all children, trans children. These are dangerous times, and people are not helping.
Thank you. Number 4.
So I too thank you for putting the word transgender in. It means a lot to me. But I also want to poke a little hole in the argument about distinct groups being categorized, creating problems, leading to segregation, because I want to point out to you that the word race as a distinct category for protections in Connecticut School District Policy Manual is in 22 different policies. Some of the policies that include race as some, not all, as a distinct category are 9230R, professional staff and recruiting, 5020, equal educational opportunities, 4200, curriculum development, 0110-R, sexual harassment, 0100, equal opportunities and non-discrimination, 5800, student awards and scholarships, 0115, harassment, hazing, and bullying, 1900, Title I, parental involvement, 0115E2, harassment, hazing, bullying incident report, 5225, student personal expression. Disabilities as a distinct group is listed in 41 of Connecticut School District policies. Some of these policies are 2120-2 voting procedures, 4321.6 availability of alternative format, 8510E3 free and reduced meal, 9230 professional staff recruiting and hiring regulations, 5020 equal educational opportunities, 4200 curriculum development, 1925 interpreters for hearing impaired, 4321 programs and services for parentally placed non-public school students with disabilities, 6150 budget transfers, 4321 or just 4321 programs for students with disabilities under the IDA and New York's educational law. These are just a few of the 41 policies where a distinct group has been named, recognized for added protections. So I say to you, if we followed your logic, it is now time to revisit all 61 to remove certain groups, because if groups are the problem, you have you have over 60 policies to revisit and recorrect. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have a number 5.
I had a little script with a lot of numbers on it, which I'm not going to read. Since the beginning of this country, we have modified the Constitution at various times to include marginalized groups, including women, including minorities. And at this point in this country, the mood seems to be to divide. These kids cannot be divided because they are vulnerable, they are marginalized, and they need extra to boost them up and put them into this world, which is not a particularly warm and fuzzy place.
I wholeheartedly support any lifting of any marginalized kid to prevent the homelessness, the poverty, the suicide, the self-mutilation, and a whole long list of issues that you all know about that these kids excel in pitifully. It's interesting to me to look at the board and see who's listening to everyone, not me, and to see who's not. And that's exactly why you need the words on that policy. Because bottom line is that this board does not listen. Now we've gotten some people in who do, and I appreciate that. I appreciate you're looking at me when I talk. You're looking at me when I talk. You're looking at me when I talk. I get it. And I will always give it right back to you. You deserve it and you've earned it. Thank you for putting this wording in. Stick to your guns. There is no reason ever to take rights away, ever. And particularly when we're talking about our most vulnerable kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 6.
So, I'm a transgender woman who graduated from Connect Pot. I didn't realize I was transgender until I was in my 30s because there wasn't enough education when I was growing up. There wasn't enough knowledge. People weren't accepting of transgender people like myself. And I'm really glad that in society, transgender people are being more accepted. There's more knowledge out there. People are learning about themselves at a younger age so that they can be themselves for as much of their life as possible. And it's something that I didn't get to experience myself because I didn't have the knowledge readily available to me at the time. And I'm happy for the kids today that they have this opportunity, but at the same time, I see people trying to take it away from them. We have the knowledge now, we have the education, people can be more accepting, people can have these like gender affirming care, the puberty blockers, things that there's a lot of misinformation out there from a lot of conservative groups where they pick and choose parts of scientific studies. I did a lot of research on this going into this meeting. And I'm sorry if I sound like I'm going to cry because I am at the verge of tears thinking about these things because I want kids today to have opportunities that I didn't have so they could just be themselves and be accepted. And to see people trying to take that away and to go out of their way to remove any protections for them. Right now, in the House of Representatives, there's a bill up that was put up, I don't know if I'm allowed to refer to people specifically, but Marjorie Taylor Greene and other Republicans that put up this bill to try to outlaw gender-affirming care for all minors. So they're getting this, we have the knowledge, we have the opportunity, we have the tools needed for these kids to be who they want to be who they know they are on the inside. And people are going out of their way to try to take that away from them, either because they're misguided, because they're hearing this information from groups that are spreading misinformation and thinking that being transgender is a bad thing, it's going to harm the kids, or just because they, for some reason, don't like transgender people. And I want to thank you for including transgender students back into the language because, yes, all means all. But at the same time, the Declaration of Independence said in it, we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, yet we had slavery. How? How does that happen? If all means all, then shouldn't all men have been equal when we started this government? So this country has a history of all not meaning all. So putting in that specific language, including transgender students, lets them know that they can be safe, that they'll be included, and people will look out for them. Can I just say one last thing?
One last thought, go.
I'm going to email the Board of Education, and if anybody wants to learn more about transgender people, feel free to respond to me. I want to have a dialogue with you. I want to help you to understand me and people like me, and that we're not some hazard, something to be feared. We're just people like everyone else.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Number 7.
Didn't even know that this was on the agenda tonight. It's been a little bit. So I get everyone has a lot of feelings about the wording, and I get it. Just a little history about myself. So obviously I'm of a certain age. I have grown children and younger children. So I was someone who, in my own high school years, I had a red AIDS ribbon on my backpack when I could assure you that definitely was not popular when I was in school. So I have always been accepting and welcoming, and I love everyone, and everyone should be exactly who they are, and that's who it is. I understand both sides of this, though, on the that people want to be seen and they want to be acknowledged by with the LGBTQIA+. The thing I do want to say, though, because I do want to see the all part too, is that many years ago, when I was young, and I'm sure many remember in this room, it was gay and straight, and then the letters changed, and there were a lot more people added to that, right? And as the years have gone on, so even like, maybe 20 years ago, it was just, LGBTQ. Then it became LGBTQ+. Then it was LGBTQIA. So yes, everybody wants to be seen. But on the other side, too, if you did put all, that policy wouldn't have to be revisited and changed to encompass if anything else pops up along the way. Because who could have anticipated that this is where we'd be now, right? So it's not to eliminate anybody. I support everybody. I think everybody has a right to exist exactly how they are. I just wanted to just point that out as just a little food for thought. I'm good with whatever you guys do with that. The other thing is, though, I think it's great. We have these policies. They're amazing. Are we going to enforce any of them? Because that's really the bigger thing. We could write policies until the cows come home. We could fill the entire ConnectBot library and then some with policies. But a lot of these policies I see up here about bullying are a lot of bull. So, and I say that as a parent who has called and complained about things. I can guarantee you that there are people that should have letters in their file that don't. I can guarantee you, actually, I've had the experience of actually calling and saying, and there have been terrible things that have happened. And I've had the person I speak to on the phone going, yeah, I don't really know what I could do about that. You could actually do something. I'm sorry, it's your friend's kid. And that's really how it goes. So it's great. We could have policies. We could have a policy for every person in this room. But if the people in charge are not doing anything to enforce these policies, it means nothing. We could say that we accept everybody, but if the people that are supposed to accept everybody aren't, well, that's all well and good. I could say I'm a flamingo. It doesn't make it so. So that's something that you really need to work more on. This is great. We have the wording that we need, whatever. I don't care either way, word it however you want. But you know what? You need to start enforcing this stuff. And I don't see that. And I've been here long enough, and it's just not happening. And there's a lot of excuses made when I go and speak to people. And then when I go speak above them, there's a lot more excuses made. And I'm getting tired of it.
Thank you. I leave it up to the superintendent to enforce the policies with his cabinet and his administration, and I hope that they do enforce the policies, and I'm sure they do, yes. Number 8. Okay, I think that was it. I think we will have a second portion at the end. Moving on to discussion items, we have student government here.
I apologize, my voice isn't the greatest. Good evening, I'm Michaela, one of the Board of Ed reps at the high school. I do warn you, this might take a little while. I have a lot written here, but I hope I don't bore you too much. Okay, Safe Halloween on Saturday went great. There were lots of happy smiles, and most of all, we filled up our school pantry. Our school pantry is a big part of our school, and we hope that anyone who'd like to donate food to the food pantry and Thanksgiving drive would please do so, because it would be really greatly appreciated, especially for the Thanksgiving times where food can be a little tough to find. Even just bringing a few canned goods to the high school would help the food pantry a lot. The senior class meeting is next week, November 4th at 6:30. in the high school auditorium where packets will be distributed and all information will be given on the senior trip this year. And of course, it is our last week of SUNY applications for all high school seniors. We also have our fall drama coming up. That is November 8th and November 9th. At the high school, I do not know the ticket price yet, but it is Almost Maine, a beautiful production so far. $5, she said. And that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. And just to feedback on your senior trip, that is a mandatory meeting if your senior does want to go on the trip. Thank you so much, ladies. Do we have a PTA council update? Come on up.
Hello, I'm Melinda Monahan, Council PTA President. I'd like to update you on activities that are going on in the district that are PTA sponsored. RMS is having a bake sale on Election Day, and I'm sure other schools are doing the same thing, so bring your cash and your credit cards. OBMS is running a pie fundraiser through Sable and Spice for Thanksgiving. Pies are fresh baked from Olish Farms. Cutoff date is 11/1. Pickup date is at Sable and Spice on 11/26 or 11/27. John Pearl is running a pie fundraiser also until 11:15 from White Post Farms. The winning class gets to pie Mr. Wrinkle. They're very lucky. PTA Council is having the Wizards again. It was very exciting last year. We're doing it on February 27th. More details to follow. As you know, membership is a very important part of the PTA. Any community member can become a member of any PTA. I actually became a member of the Brentwood PTA because they needed some extra people to become an actual PTA. Just look on the district website and look up the school, and you could just click on the link and just, join the PTA, join SEPTA, and we welcome all volunteers. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have our superintendent. Just make sure we don't have Orba or SEPTA in the house, right? Okay. Superintendent update, Dr. Senamore.
Thank you, Ms. Mallon. So on behalf of Board Appreciation and Recognition Week, I too want to thank all of our board members for your volunteerism and your service to our children, staff, and community. As a superintendent, I appreciate that greatly. I want to thank and congratulate all the students and the staff who were recognized tonight. I often refer to our district as a AAA district with excellence in academics, athletics, and arts, and tonight was a big A for the arts. Simply outstanding. You saw a little bit of their talent on display tonight, whether it's singing or the work they're doing in our art studios. We're very proud and we're very excited. As I've stated, the fall has been chock full of various Honor Society inductions, including last week's National Honor Society induction at the high school. 80 new members were inducted. We have departmental inductions that are continuing. Congratulations to all of our students. There are many action and character themes in October. We have breast cancer awareness, bully prevention, digital citizenship, drug awareness. For Drug Awareness Week, the schools had many impactful events, including a high school assembly on fentanyl. These are all critical topics to discuss with our students. We want them to make choices that are positive, healthy, safe, respectful, and kind. This Wednesday night is a free webinar on digital citizenship. And obviously, we know the challenges with technology and our students. Our marching band, speaking of the arts, our marching band once again made Connect Part proud with an outstanding performance at the recent Newsday Festival at Mitchell Field. Congratulations to our musicians, our flag, as well as Kickline, and to all of the directors. It was just a wonderful evening and event. Thank you to our music and art boosters, Orba, for all their support, as well as all of our PTA, SEPTA, athletic boosters, Rotary, and Civics for all that you do for our students, staff, and community. Many of our athletic teams have had successful seasons. The playoffs have begun with some classic games and matches already occurring. We're wishing our teams good luck in the playoffs as that continues. The Halloween theme is certainly in the air with pumpkin patches and trunk or treats. The costume parades are occurring this week throughout the elementary schools. Who knows? Maybe Dr. C will pay a visit in costume as well. You've heard from our outstanding student government about Safe Halloween. That was this past Saturday. a true hallmark event and tradition and source of pride for our community. One of the things that I love about our community is the way our high school students continue to serve as role models to our elementary students, true big brothers and sisters. Love that. Great job to all. As we await further information on changes to graduation measures and the foundation aid formula, as well as what the state plans on doing with concerns raised over such mandates as electric buses. Another recent item we are hoping to get further clarity on, and I think you're starting to hear more about it, is regionalization planning. The three Long Island BOCES have provided a communication attempting to clarify the state's intentions, but there is certainly an air of skepticism across the state. I certainly have heard that, and concerns raised by some of our various associations, our teachers and our administrators included, who I'll be meeting with next week. What the state is trying to tell us is that this focus on regionalization planning is to help with local decision making and to foster partnerships. We also got an update today, and it talks about how the BOCES district superintendent will be able to act as an intermediary between the State Department and the component school districts. That's what the school districts like Connecticut are. So the concern that's out there, and there's a lot out on social media, and we're still trying to shift through it all. Some of the concern is that, is this an attempt to kind of force some consolidation across the state? We know that Long Island has about 120 plus school districts, and in other parts of the state, there's always been skepticism towards that model. We know that our BOCES play a big role. We have three on Long Island, once again, Eastern, Western, and Nassau County. The one that we work directly with is Eastern Suffolk. Sometimes we'll do cross contracts with the other BOCES as well. They're great partners. It's just like when you're looking at all the things that the state is doing at the same time, there's a lot of concern about things being done in silos and a lot of concern about potential ulterior motives. Again, we don't like to get into conspiracy theories. We like to deal with facts and be able to discuss it. It's just a lot at once. And with this particular thing, with regionalization planning that have districts working on this very robust questionnaire that's due in just under 2 months, there's just a concern and there's a skepticism with the timing, especially. You've heard me speak a lot about the pending changes that we're anticipating about the foundation aid formula and how there's a real concern for many school districts on Long Island, such as Connecticut, that if they do make changes, it's not going to be in our favor. We already have other mandates that are already in place. You've heard me speak a lot about the fact that we have 120, 130 buses, and the e-bus mandate is already in place, and that's going to be tens upon tens of millions of dollars with no real plan in place with PSE&G to be able to support it. No ability in terms of fire suppression if there is any kind of a battery electric fire. And so there's this concern out there that perhaps as, changes are made with the state aid and unfunded or low funded mandates are not changed, and that's going to create fiscal challenges for district. Some of the concern is that the state may look to something like regionalization. Concern. We also are waiting on the details of changes with graduation measures. Most people like the idea of flexibility. One size does not fit all. We know that, in terms of Regents exams, not every student does well in a Regents exam, but they may do well all year. And we all know that students have various learning modalities. The devil will be in the detail in terms of what the state will propose with that, including are there going to be any costs associated. So, we're trying to give our Board of Education as much material as possible. And right now, I think we're starting to get to the point that they're being inundated with it, and it's coming from a lot of different places. Some boards of education here on Long Island have done positions of advocacy based on the concern that this is the state heading us in the direction of either a forced consolidation of of districts or a local BOCES oversight, direct control. So I'm looking forward to a partnership and conversation with our various associations, certainly next week. And this is certainly something for us to monitor as a superintendent and a Board of Education in the coming weeks, and to see if there is a point of advocacy that we want to want to do, like we've done with the other things such as the electric buses and the foundation aid.
And there's a webinar tomorrow that you and a few of us on here are doing, right?
Yes, there is a webinar tomorrow as well. So they're trying to dispel rumors on social media, but these are real concerns because of the timing of everything else. It's a lot at once, and certainly the big thing being the foundation aid and how that could change the fiscal reality of public education in New York State, if not for a generation, then what could feel like an eternity. So that's certainly something for us to continue to monitor, very closely. In terms of, go ahead, please.
So I had written in the email today that I wanted to try to follow the district who spearheaded the advocacy letter in pushing back, because after I went to the convention, I went to that class on this specifically, and they were explaining a lot of different things about it that none are good. And there's going to be so many legal obligations that are going to come down to it on the school districts themselves. It's going to open the door for lawsuits much more than we deal with already. So it's something that I feel very strongly about, and I do like what the other district wrote. I would like to piggyback off of them, do something similar if the board supports it.
I would be in support of a letter.
I would too. I believe Cold Spring Harbor and I think Massapequa was another one. There was at least 2 school districts I saw that wrote letters. So I definitely would support that initiative as well.
I definitely would like much more information on it. And as the upcoming webinars come and we get more information down the line.
I also think this is a golden opportunity. We talk about, and I certainly have been saying this since I came on board just under a year and a half ago, trying to bring people together and bring groups together, in terms of advocating for the finances and mandates that can be sustained. This being a regionalization planning being another potential area, I do look forward to the opportunity to try to partner with our various groups and our associations in this. And perhaps if the board does decide to do an advocacy position on regionalization planning, there is strength in numbers. And maybe there's an opportunity for a joint advocacy, particularly in this area.
My understanding is other districts are already looking into. I spoke to a few other districts while I was away, and their board members said that they're already working on it. So that's why I would like to get it started. If it's something that people feel strongly about, I don't want to be the last district. I'd like to be part of the spearheading.
We could definitely put something together and have something in writing for the next meeting where we could probably have a lot more information, and then we could be more informed decisions.
Yeah. Absolutely. We'll start working on that right away. We heard from our student government representatives about the drama production. I'm ecstatic that, because we already have a fabulous musical, but the drama production might have been dormant for a year or two, but now it's back, and we're very excited for the drama production. And, one of the things that's also another hallmark of this district is all the beautiful things it does to honor our service people, our veterans. And Veterans Day, this district definitely goes big across the board, secondary buildings, elementary buildings, certainly just, to just reference a couple, the nice ceremony that the high school does and RMS and other buildings with their celebrations and ceremonies and performances. And certainly as a son of a combat veteran, this is near and dear to me as well. I know our next meeting is just after the holidays, so I want to thank all of our servicemen and women in all the branches for their service and sacrifice to our country. Thank you.
Thank you. We now have Board of Ed committee reports. We have the Mental Health Advisory Committee. If anybody wants to report anything.
Yes, I was there. Melissa and I are on that committee. And, we had the discussion again about trying to get parents involved. That was basically the main topic of what we talked about, trying to get parents involved and different ways to do that. The effectiveness of having not assemblies, but having, it's been a very long day. At night when you have the parents come in, it just doesn't bring, even, no matter what you do, it doesn't bring out the turnout. So that's kind of what we talked mostly about. Melissa, I don't know if you want to add anything to it.
No, we spent a good kind of just kicking back and forth some ideas. It was like really like a brainstorming committee more than like an action one, I would say. I think moving forward, we'll have more like actionable things.
Great, thank you. Drug and Alcohol Task Force Committee meeting?
Yeah, so I attended that last week. I can honestly say what an amazing program, the things that they do, unbelievable. So some of the things Mr. Modica is the advisor on that force, and he takes a lot of initiatives, and the entire group gets together. It's very collaborative. He has, for 15 students, free memberships to the YMCA. The bus is provided from the high school to the YMCA once a week, and that is free. Like I said, there's also a teen program on Saturday that's free, but there's no transportation provided, so they would need transportation to get there and back. If anybody knows anyone who would like to participate in this program, because they're hoping to grow it and have more than 15 students, please contact Mr. Modica's office. They will take all the information and hopefully get the student involved and able to get on the bus and go and participate. They are collaborating with several clubs, the Future Teachers of America and the SAD Club. The Future Teachers of America are developing elementary school lessons, making good choices. They will go to the elementary school library and meet with students from elementary school, going over how to make better choices. Not so much about drugs because it's age appropriate, but just better choices, in the decisions that they're making. As Dr. C said, they also had brought in the guest speakers last week for the fentanyl presentation. Amazing presentation. Students, I've spoke to many students about it, very engaged. They all really enjoyed the presentation. And I say enjoyed, but I think it was a realization for them about, things that are happening. And, there was a lot of pictures and topics and things that I was surprised how they said so many kids could relate to what they were speaking about. They also, as many of you know, just across the Long Island, not just us, and across many states, there is a problem, with vaping and THC. So if students are caught vaping in our school, with parents' permission, the students will have to participate in a 4-week outreach program. We collaborate with outreach. They come into our school, and once a week, every Wednesday, students participate in the group and discuss the, educational consequences and things, to make better choices again, and not to vape, and why not to vape. So it's honestly a great program. Right now, we have 100% participation. Every parent has agreed to allow their children to go through the program. I really think it's going to be, even if you save one kid, it really makes a huge difference in these children's life. And kids are coming out of the program saying that they themselves are learning and appreciate it. I think that's it. There's a lot of stuff that happens in this meeting in 1 hour, but more or less that's it.
So I'm gonna go off of this from freshman awareness because that's where it needs to be.
Hold on.
Yes.
Do you have anything about the drug and alcohol?
Yeah, it's gonna be because it's the same thing. It's gonna be about the panel.
Okay.
So just so you could cross it off so that we're not doing it twice is what I'm telling you. So I sit on this meeting. I tried to zoom into this meeting and there was a technical issue. I have been on this committee since it started. And while I think it's a terrific committee and I like what they do, I have questions which I've asked and still have not gotten answered. When you bring a panel of adults into the high school, I want to know if they're vetted. I want to know if BOCES vetted them, and I've still not gotten that answer, which leads me to believe they're not. So again, this is something that I feel strongly about. We talk about security piece. I've been an SRO for many years. I've been doing this for over 25 years. I may not be an educator, but I know about schools and I know about when you bring people in, regardless who they are, it has to do with making sure people are vetted. Last year during freshman awareness, there was an issue. A staff member, who was also a parent, sent an email, do you recall, to Mr. Moran and Dr. C. I believe it went to you too, but I know it went to Mr. Moran and to the high school. I know it was put on social media that they had a problem with a Supreme Court judge who is also an alumni, and her father, who is also a longstanding community member who does lots of things with students in this district, including coaching for over 35 years with St. Joseph's. And they had an issue whether they were vetted or not by this board. Yet we are having people come into our high school and we are not vetting them. Now, last year you told me, Jackie, after freshman awareness, we're going to make sure people are vetted. You said that to me. You said, even if it's a Supreme Court judge who's an alumni, yet we're not vetting these people. Why is that? I don't have a problem with the program. I think that it's great to bring people in. I think there's a time and place for everything, and that's where we may disagree. I am after going to this convention and taking every security class I could take about threat assessment, every single one says the same exact thing. When you open the door, you need to know who's coming in. And on the surface, everybody's wonderful, but you don't know what you're dealing with, because that's what a lot of these issues in schools have been. They're not people that just come in that no one knows. They're people you bring in. They're people that are students. They're people that have worked here. They're people that, so we need to do a better, in my opinion, a better job vetting and making sure people are vetted. That's one. Two, freshman awareness was rolled into this.
Can we just talk about freshman awareness when we get to that and just do
Well,
it?
no, I want to, because it goes with it. It goes with it.
They go together, the
Yes,
meeting?
the panel and
Okay.
this. So, well, because I was told, which is strange because apparently me and Jackie D don't get told much, but we were told that there was a panel coming in to freshman awareness. Freshman awareness, if funding for freshman awareness is under review or facing cuts, I propose conducting a comprehensive audit of all extracurricular programs within the school district to ensure equity and fairness. Many programs do not serve the entire student body, and it is only fair that each program be evaluated with the same level of scrutiny. Freshman Awareness is an essential program that provides our freshmen support for all incoming freshmen, fostering team building, identifying students in need, addressing key issues such as mental health and bullying, and promoting personal development. If equity is the goal, then it is crucial that all extracurricular activities are evaluated for their reach and impact on the student population as a whole. I was told that this panel was thinking about coming in. I'm glad to hear that that's not taking place, only because if it's not vetted appropriately a month before this function and event is supposed to take place, what are we doing? This should have all been done not me, we, the district, dropped the ball. Because for months I've been saying, freshman awareness, I love freshman awareness. And while I have always supported, and I teach, DEFY, drug education for youth, hey, even McGruff is still around for the younger kids. We do all that. I go into schools, I talk about that. I have no issue at all. But understand that there is a time and place for it. There is a time and place to do a function for drug awareness. Freshman awareness is not a drug awareness night. At no point should it become that when we already have other issues that we need to deal with. Team building and bullying. We have more student involvement in this program than any other program. Upperclassmen that come out are amazing. The amount of children that are there that night just blows my mind every single year. I said, not for nothing, but this approach will ensure, making sure that we're funding it, this approach will ensure that any decisions regarding funding are based on thorough understanding of the value and inclusivity of each program, rather than singling out this one initiative, because that's what this board has done in emails. They have singled it out and attacked it. And I don't really understand why, unless it's because of who runs it, who's involved in it, or because some of us that you dislike support it. I don't understand it. Freshman Awareness plays a pivotal role in the transition to high school and supports students holistically, so it should be weighed alongside other programs and curriculums that may not offer such universal benefits. Here are the key reasons why Freshman Awareness should continue as a rite of passage for all of our freshmen in Connecticut School District since it was brought in by, thank God, Mr. Murtha many years ago. Team building. The program fosters collaboration and unity among freshmen, helping them form bonds with their peers, which enhances school spirit and community. Early identification of students in need. This is a mental health piece. Freshman awareness allows educators and counselors to observe students who may be struggling academically, socially, emotionally, so that support can be provided early on for these students. Motivational speakers. The inclusivity of motivational speakers inspires students to set goals, persevere through challenges, through challenges, and focus on personal growth and success. Another, addressing tough issues. It creates a safe space to tackle important topics, bullying, mental health, and peer pressure, ensuring students feel supported as they navigate difficult issues. We sit in these classrooms with these students and they bring me to tears. They brought other board members to tears. Over the years, it's a beautiful night where you see people come together. It encourages students to be their best. The program promotes a positive school culture, motivating students to strive for excellence in both their academic and personal lives. Freshman awareness helps create a solid foundation for students as they enter high school, making a valuable tradition in the Connecticut School District. I hope to see this continue for many years, but I hate to hear that people on this board want to use their majority to try to restructure a program that is already an outstanding program that has more buy-in than any other program I've seen in Connecticut. And I'm glad to see it, and I hope it continues over the years.
I just want to bounce off that, because if we're going to do what we did and just bring it to the public like we said, then we will. The original email about this conversation was not about cutting the program. It was literally a question about how much was spent after a Facebook thread where a community member wanted to know how much was spent. I looked in the email, all 5 of us have collectively said nobody wants to get rid of the event. In those emails, I'm going to finish, and then you can go ahead and yell at me. Beyond that, I don't the panel thing. I said it in my email, and I will say what I said is I would like to invite the person who's apparently telling you that we're all trying to plan a back alley panel to the meeting so they can say it and we can address it and clarify it, because I said I knew nothing about it. Nobody else seemed to know anything about it. And the final piece, and this is what had originally prompted my response, is got nothing to do with the panel, the no panel, this, that. It's got to do with the fact that you listed off a lot of benefits of freshman awareness, which I actually agree with, right? Like persevering and peer pressure and keeping an eye out for these things, a lot of things people go through before they experience a substance use issue. So to other it again and act like it wouldn't play a part, even if that was the decision that was made as a collective by the people that were planning it, not anybody behind closed doors, it could still very much fit in the messaging of everything you just listed. So it starts to feel about the subject matter rather than the event. I know I don't want to get rid of anything. And my interpretation of that initial email was literally just, hey, I saw a post. How about this? Can we please get clarification on how much is spent? And we have landed here somehow. And I don't understand how.
I think we landed here because I was told on good authority that you and April were pushing admin to do that. And I was told by admin themselves that there was a restructuring that was going to be taking place, or possibly taking place, and I think it's really strange. Why hasn't the high school had this already taken care of? Any other high school, I just went to a convention where Comac just did the most outstanding college, and they have all these different classes. Their high school is actually broken up into colleges. It's like, you're in law school in high school. You're in the financial school in high school. You're in these little schools inside the school. It's amazing what they've come up with. Why is our high school having such an issue with one program, and why? Melissa, you've been on the board for 5 minutes. How much have you heard about freshman awareness? No. How many? No, but I'm being honest. How much have you heard about freshman awareness? A lot.
I've heard plenty about it.
Right. So
hence why I said I think that it should stay. And I actually have publicly, and will say it now, I do understand why you would have some feelings of being upset, because I can agree with you that I am sure some of what happened with the Supreme Court judge is because of who you are and not because of who they are, right? I can acknowledge that some of that feedback was that, right? I'm giving in here, I'm trying. But at the same time, on
my life have no idea what panel you are talking about. And like, I have never had this conversation. But the other thing is, there's two of you on the Drug and Alcohol Task Force. I can't be there anymore. I was there last year as a community member. I am not on it. When would I have been in this conversation?
I'll speak on that. So as part of the outreach program, one day a panel of students from the outreach program themselves come in to speak about them recovering from their addictions or their vaping and things that they have done. And they find it very, I'll say informative, and the kids respond well due to the fact that they're young and they can relate to their experiences. So this panel, from what I was told, not involved, told, are guest speakers. Let me just make that clear too. Guest speakers is what they are. They would not be walking around. They would not be doing anything. They would be a guest speaker, and they would speak just like they have to other students already from our school about their experiences. And as most, and I would think everybody here would agree, when you hear from someone who they themselves have gone through it, it means so much more than just having someone teach you about it. Because of the fact that they themselves have been there, they can understand. There's empathy. There's true feelings and other things involved. So yes, I 100% support the fact that we have this panel, if we want to call them that. That's just the term that I'm using, that come in to speak to our students. And I do think, again, it would have been beneficial at Freshman Awareness, because I agree with Melissa that all the things that they spoke about, all these mental health bullying, so many of these children wind up, experiencing or trying drugs or even more at some point. That, yeah, I think that the fact that you have all those other components and adding in the fact that, hey, this is what happens if you decide to go this path because of all the other things that we just went through that could happen. So yeah, I definitely supported that, and I thought it would be a great idea after I was told about it.
April, I've been doing this for more than 10 years with Freshman Awareness. When the 1 year when they actually lit the whole high school up with bags for a cause, I believe it was breast cancer, and everybody was able to do a walk around the high school. It was so nice. Not for nothing, but they already have a speaker that speaks about drugs. They touch on it. This is not a drug awareness night. This is a night of team building. This is about the students that sit alone in the lunchroom. This is about the kids who, I saw on social media, someone wrote something like, oh, and it's all anonymous, by the way. So you guys are like, oh, somebody wrote something. It's all anonymous. And it's sad because what's being written is so false. Somebody wrote about the special education kids are not included. That it couldn't be any more, that could not be any more false. And the reason I say that is because the last 3 years, I've had several parents ask me, keep an eye on my child, keep an eye on my child, whether they have autism, whether they have ADHD, whether they have whatever the situation and their parents are nervous or whatever the case may be. And I have said not only that I would keep an eye, I've taken selfies and sent them with the child to their parent. I've gone into the middle of them kids dancing around the child who I've seen sit by themselves in the lunchroom, having fun. I've sent that parent videos. I sent another parent videos through private messenger and said, here, I want you to see how much fun your child's having. I think, Mrs. Cirillo, I may have even sent you one year. I think I may have sent you a picture. I could be wrong, but I thought I sent you one.
Okay, but realistically, we don't make these decisions.
I'm saying, this is my point to you, is that you keep saying you want to bring all this in. This should have already been done. The expectation for Freshman Awareness is a month away. You don't say, let's restructure it because we have a board majority.
Listen, we don't make these decisions. We don't make these decisions.
Well, for someone who doesn't make decisions, you've gone to those people in charge and you've spoken to them. Have you not?
Why the topic came up, excuse me, why the topic came up again was because I asked about the money. And shame on me, and I said this also, that I did not realize there was 2 different lines on the budget for Freshman Awareness. So the community is correct. Freshman Awareness does cost $45,000, actually over it.
How much does graduation cost?
We do.
How much
Can I
does the
finish?
other trips cost? No, I
do
want to
get
know.
a-
When I
just-
asked
Just
you.
let April finish her thought. Let her finish her thought.
We do get a $7,000 credit, just so you guys know, from BOCES for the guest speakers, but I do not think we should be paying for guest speakers. So due to the fact that now I realize how expensive it is, and this has nothing to do, I want you guys to know, it has nothing to do with the advisors administration. We passed the budget. They have a budget, they spend it. I comprehend that. But now it's up to the board to be fiscally responsible and have oversight on these programs. I did agree with Jax. It should be every program that we're looking at, not just freshman awareness. But now that we did look at freshman awareness, I am going to own in public $45,000 for one program that only supports not even half or maybe a little over half sometimes, depending on the year. Depending on the year.
Did you get that number correct?
Finish, please.
Hold on, let Miss Iannatelli finish, please.
You can't stop.
Please, one at a time, just.
We have to, oh my goodness.
But just let her finish and then you let her finish first.
$45,000 is more than half of a new teacher's salary. If we have a teacher who teaches the whole year, this is more than that for one night. We have to be more responsible. We need guest speakers who are free. We need donations, other things. We, the board, make a budget. We, the board, vote on the budget. We, the board, now realize that one program for one night costs $45,000. Shame on us.
Well,
Shame on
you do
us.
know that BOCES pays us back for those speakers.
$7,000.
And that money,
Speakers over
that
11.
money would not be utilized for other, you understand that when we get money from them for a program that they sponsor and support, they're not giving us that money to give to high school admin to pay for the sleeves for the flags. You know that, right? Okay, I just
Jack,
want to
you
throw
can
that
go-
out there.
again, it's not a game.
And they're
It's not a
also,
game.
and they're
This is-
also
we
not
have to be
going
fiscally
to.
responsible.
Okay, wait,
You
one at a
realize
time.
That high school administration should have had this buttoned up over the summer. That's a known fact. All admin knows that that's what's supposed to have done. The expectation for freshman awareness for our freshman class this year shouldn't be that they are still trying to figure it out. There shouldn't still be being meetings happening right now because it's not buttoned up. It shouldn't be because April doesn't like what the budget lines are. You approved the budget. I didn't. I didn't adopt the budget. Remember who adopted the budget? I said no to adopting the budget. You know why I said no? Because you guys excessed people and then a month later brought everybody back but 1.5 positions. You should be ashamed of yourselves for giving pink slips and then giving them back. You should have known when I said to you all you didn't want to listen, we can find money. There's ways to find money because it seems that I've been on the board every year. Money falls out of the sky. In 2020, they wanted to excess 30
All right,
positions.
we're
Then the
veering
money
off
fell out of the
topic now.
sky.
Let's stay on freshman awareness. I just want to give my my opinion on freshman awareness.
Just answer this one thing because I want to ask him something. The $5,000, the money that April's talking about, I requested from Dr. C. He sent us that, and it is not true, is the problem. When I said to him in an email with all of you on it, you said that admin gets paid $5,000. How is that even possible when it is contractual that it's $300 to $1,000? We had this discussion, and Dr. Centimore said, you know what, Jackie? You're right about that piece, the 300 and the 1,000, because it's contractual. If any of you actually read the contracts, you would know that the numbers are not right.
So I am a big proponent of freshman awareness. I love the program. I think it's a great program. I think that what it does for the freshmen is fantastic. I think that 3 weeks before the event is supposed to happen is just not okay to change it on this year's incoming freshmen. The money's already there. The money's been already approved for. I don't know why. I'm okay with restructuring it. I'm not okay with restructuring it for this year's freshmen that have an expectation of how it's supposed to be.
What I said.
That's what I said in the email. Now, with the restructuring, I am okay with restructuring. I'm okay with whatever the advisors want to do. What I'm not okay with is if they want to change it to a 2-night event that's split for the beginning of the year and the end of the year. That to me takes away the premise of freshman awareness. I think that freshman awareness is about coming into the high school, feeling accepted into the high school, feeling welcomed into the high school, and how to manage all the social anxieties and whatever else goes with coming into such a large building. And to have one night in the beginning of the year, one night at the end of the year, to me, that piece just doesn't make sense. So restructure, fine. For this year, I don't think that that's okay, but that's just my opinion, and I love this program. Dr. Centimore?
I'd like to offer, a quick opinion too. I agree with you. Freshman awareness is incredible. And it is all about unity. And I know I've beat this over and over again about the benefits of something like Community Wellness Day, bringing people together. And that's freshman awareness at the student level. And the whole thing of it is staying overnight in your high school. That's a special memory. That's where these kids, they bond, the events that they do. And definitely, if there's going to be any changes, not now, when there's only a few weeks left. I have to be honest, though, I don't even know that I would change it that much. It is successful as it is. It's such an incredible event. And I really would suggest to anybody that wants to see it, volunteer, join the PTA. And volunteer to help out, to be there and witness this incredible event. I would not want to see it changed. I think it's wonderful as it is. Thank you to the advisors who do this, because it really is quite a feat that they do. So yeah, I agree with you on that. If you are going to do any kind of changes, not now, not 3 weeks before.
And that was my biggest issue, so everyone understands in the email. I stated, and I appreciate that, Marisol, that I stated very clearly in my email to everyone that you set an expectation for our students, and now these kids, you're going to crush them with, hey, including the upperclassmen, hey, we all volunteered, we're all doing our trainings, but hey, now we're going to restructure it and make it something totally different. Doesn't even look like freshman awareness.
I'm happy that we all five agree. No one wants to change it this year, but that was not the premise of the email. The premise of the email was accusing me in April of trying to bring a panel in out of in the next 45 minutes, because all five of us somehow have just yelled in a circle when we have all said the same thing individually, which was, we don't think now's a good time to restructure, but maybe it's going to be something that we look at for the next budget. I am happy to announce all five of us are on the same page, even though it doesn't look like it.
Melissa, we're not, because you guys are only I would love, you can be my guest and read the email.
I don't think we want to do
that. You
that.
should. I do not care if you do. There's the difference between me and you.
No, I don't want people who might be right. There's a difference.
And it's offensive.
I don't want to read those out loud, because I would never want somebody else that's struggling potentially with a substance use disorder to see some of what was written, because it might deter them from ever wanting to reach out for help.
So I'm going to allow Dr. Centimore to speak on freshman awareness.
I've helped people. No, the problem is you can't tell tone in text. And what I explained to you all is I fight for students while I'm listening to the other one say, oh, it's about the money, it's about the money. She approved the budget. You guys approved the budget. Shame on you for not seeing it. Shame on you. I approved it, and I stand by it. And I'm going to tell you something else. With a $200 million budget, I'll continue to stand by freshman awareness, and I'll go line by line and get rid of wasteful spending elsewhere. The same way you were able to bring back 9 teachers. You know why? Because you guys approved a budget that shouldn't have been approved.
Thank you. I'm just going to let Dr. Centimore speak a little on freshman awareness.
So just one piece on the financial component. The confusion with the administrative chaperone piece was because last year we settled a new contract with the principals and directors, the administrators. And so we did have personnel and payroll, the business office, double check last year's compensation, and those numbers were correct. The confusion was that the contract had changed, and so for people who were on the board prior, they weren't used to to seeing that component. So let me just be very clear that there's been a lot of recent collaboration between the administration at the high school and the advisors. And what I'm being told, and I believe it, is that everybody wants to see freshman awareness continue. There's not an attempt to do away with it. They are trying to make it an overnight event later in the month of November. They are trying with some tweaks, and I experienced it last year. I stayed overnight. Outstanding event. It needs a little bit of tweaking, and they have been working on a little bit of tweaking. There's a plan B, and Ms. Mallon referenced it in terms of potentially splitting it over 2 nights because we need the staff chaperones, and there's a posting out right now. If we get the staff chaperones we need, then we're looking great to have more of a traditional with some tweaks freshman awareness. If we don't, that's why there's a plan B in place where they would have the evening, same date later in November, and then a follow-up evening likely in April. So that's where we're at. We're keeping our fingers crossed that we get that commitment. These are paid staff chaperones. They're compensated, so we're hoping that we get them. And if not, at least there is a plan B in place. And I will keep the board posted.
So I will end the discussion with just a plea to the staff to please volunteer to chaperone for this amazing event so that it can go on.
And I will actually reiterate that. Ideally, we want our high school teachers, especially. It is an amazing event, and I do support it, and it would be great if we could make it an overnight event again.
Thank you. So now we're on to the Board of Ed topics. Dual language program, which I'm bringing up. So I want to preface it with saying that I love the Flex program that we have in our district. I think it's a great program. I was looking at the program that Bayshore has in place, their dual language program. It's similar to, in theory, to the Sequest program that we have, whereas they take students for a full day and they learn in English and Spanish for the whole curriculum for the whole day. So what I'm asking, Ms. Poppy, if you could please get in touch with Bayshore and perhaps invite the board to go see their program.
I'm happy to set that up.
Thank you. Parent Square, Ms. DiLorenzo.
We were able to sit with Ms. Weiss for a little bit of a lesson on Parent Square. And first of all, she's fantastic. She knows her stuff. And just a pleasure to work with and sit with. What I wanted to ask about, one of the key things that she showed us, which I have seen at various times from multiple parents, is the notification settings. And I understand because I get the text, I get the app notification, I get the email later on at night. She showed us that. And I know a lot of parents, they've said, it's too many, they want to be able to modify that, and it's great that you can. So I'm wondering if perhaps, and I know that anybody can call and ask, but maybe she could send out like a 1-page flyer, like screenshots, whatever it might be, on how to adjust your notification settings, because I think that was such a key part of that, of meeting with her, was learning that, because that's something that I've heard from parents that they have concerns about. To fix that, they're getting either bombarded or whatever it might be. So maybe just like real simple. Click here, done, you're good to go.
She was excellent. I do want to also piggyback that she sat with us for well over an hour, went over it. She offered that to anybody. She was saying if there's anyone who needed help, call her. She's been phenomenal. She's helped me on Saturdays, on weekends. She just doesn't stop. So I just want to thank her really for going above and beyond and helping us, especially Jackie is great. She's phenomenal with technology, but when she has to sit with me, who's not great with technology, it's like I'm weighing them both down. And honestly, they did a great job, and I appreciate all the help from actually you and her.
It's a very good idea to give the parents an update with the notification settings. One of the settings with Parent Square is that you could set it so that you get updates at a certain time later in the day. And what we're teaching our administrators is that there's a way to override that if you really want to get an urgent message out. But that's like an important reminder to parents to realize that piece. I also want to thank parents because and Ms. Poppy, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe we're at 99.9% of parents in our district have registered for Parent Square?
Correct. They've activated their account, and now our mission is to improve parent usage of the platform. I would like to also mention that Ms. Weiss hosted a number of parent academies earlier this month. We will look to replicate them to perhaps gather a larger audience around some of these facets. But I think your idea about generating some kind of an FAQ document or a quick reference guide and sharing it out publicly will certainly help as well.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Student success, Ms. Napolitano-Furno.
I just want to reiterate to the parents of students in the high school especially. So we have an incredible work experience program. It's incredible where the teacher mentors the students and they go out and they can get a job. It gives them opportunities and it helps them prepare for their career to enhance their professional skills. More students really need to be encouraged by their parents at home, I say, because I know at school, a lot of the teachers, and I know that they push in and they try to get more people to come out, but I can tell you from experience, they get kids jobs right away. They go and check. They go and do work site visits. The coordinator is doing a great job. The teacher that's running it, she's doing a great job helping the students achieve formal work experience. Like I said, if parents could just encourage students that are looking for jobs to take advantage of the work study program. I mean, you get credits, you get somebody who's going to actually look out for your kids while you're there. And it's kind of funny because I spoke to her and she said it perfectly. That really, it warmed my heart when she said she tries to be like a mama bear, which for parents like myself, I admit being a helicopter every now and then, that it's, you could fear that your children are going into a workplace and you don't know what their first experience with work would be like. And I feel like she really helps so much by making it more comfortable, making it a healthy and well environment. And she checks in. And again, I would love to see more students get involved. Go down there, see if she can help you. I know that she, like I said, she does a great job fitting kids for the jobs that are good for them. She also does the work shadowing program, which is incredible.
Thank you. College essays, Ms. Napolitano-Furno.
I wanted to find out if we had got any information on if they're doing them in the classes. I know that we had said that last meeting that they are doing them in some classes, but they aren't doing them in the AP classes, but they would set time aside or whatever the case may be. I understand this year kids are already, doing their essays, already putting them in. It would be nice if we could come up with an idea, like I said, with that College 101 class, something that we can start pushing forward with we had talked about having the Career Center, but the Career Center is going to take a while to do, and it's going to take money. Whereas there is the ability to have somebody who's already in the high school that has the know-how to actually take on an elective like College 101, like Sachem does. I would love to see that branch out, piloted, or done in the next year or so to really help the kids because they do everything themselves at Sachem. They do their essay, and like I said, they have to do it. They learn how to do the application process, not just bombarding their guidance counselors, but also having this class that teaches them how to do all of these things that are just focused on college. I think would be a great help to them.
Could you, I was wondering, and you said it, the college and career, I feel like definitely takes time and money, but I just feel like we've been hearing about it for a bit of time and it has not, so what's going on with that? Because it feels like this kind of would be a really good resource.
So the College and Career Center is definitely one of our goals. It's a goal of the high school. It's a goal for the district. It's going to be one of our discussions during the budget development process because as we're looking at it, there is a staffing component, maybe a part-time staffing component. And so that'll be one of the things we consider because everyone's on the same page. We want it. It's just a matter of seeing how it fits with the big picture, like everything else that's being discussed, right? But we have had conversations about the college essay. I'm going to take the baton and pass it to Ms. Poppy.
So just to follow up a little bit, because I'm not sure we had those conversations publicly. I know that we exchanged some emails. So I would like to clarify that although in our 12th grade English classes, students may not be writing a college essay, they should be engaged in some type of personal narrative writing, right? That's a genre that every English teacher is meant to cover as per New York State learning standards. And so what it morphs into in many English classes, with the exception of the AP, which we highlighted just a moment ago, is an effort to have students write about themselves. It may take the shape of a college essay. It may be something that is more informal in terms of the product that's produced, because all of our students have differing post-secondary goals. So we do have that sort of initial experience in writing a piece in which a student is writing about themselves, probably for the first time in some time, because our Regents exam in English language arts does not demand that style of writing, right? So it's a real departure from the way that we're training our students, which is mostly in argument writing and analysis. And so in that vein, so many of our English teachers do expend a great amount of time during off periods, during lunch periods, before and after school, supporting the work. But I think what I'm hearing is that we'd really like for a dedicated way for this support to happen. And it's certainly something that we can look at more closely in terms of including something in the course guide for an immediate type of satisfaction of this want and this desire, and then certainly the Futuring project with the College and Career Center. So we'll look into both.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
National Conference, Ms. Napolitano-Ferner.
So first and foremost, I want to thank the community, and I want to thank the school board, admin, for supporting my going to the conference this year for professional development. I went to the national conference in New York City for 3 days, 2 nights. I ended up, it really was, our old district clerk had said, it's one of those things you really can't go home and come back, because it starts at 8 a.m., like 7:30, everybody's out there online for the classes. And 8 a.m., you're going into the classes. Some are filling up before you can even get to them. And then you end up having the whole day filled with just nonstop knowledge until dinner time, where people aren't even eating. They're going now to a show. We got to hear the state education department head speak. We got to see Sophie, the AI, unbelievable robot that's doing so much. I mean, the world of AI is just incredible. I was able to then go at night, once it's all over, once you're done with your classes, you can go to the expo, which I thought was only 1 floor until the second day, and then realized it's 3 floors filled with expos. And you have to make time, because really each day I had time to talk to all the people, because you walk around and people want to talk to you. They want to tell you about what they have. They want to tell you about what's going on. So I was able to find out, which I brought back to the super, that the anatomage, I know I say this wrong, that's it. The digital anatomy table and medical learning platforms have new software now. And I wanted to look into that, because there are grants that you can get, and that you can go so much further with that table now. It's the world's most advanced, real human-based medical education platform. Connecticut was one of the first, I think it was the first public school that had it. And now Bayshore got it through grant money, and a few other schools. They were telling me while we were there. There was a booth about sleep studies. I sat and spoke to them for a while. They were telling us that there's evidence that shows that kids need to get more sleep to do better educationally. They were explaining all the, a lot of things I didn't even know. There was also a company that had an amazing graduation survey. It was so funny, because I had said, hey, I just brought that up at a meeting. I didn't even know you guys existed. There's actually a company that does a platform for graduation surveys of parents, students, community, and they also do a whole data dive to show you. So that was something I thought was interesting to look into. There was also a bunch of security pieces. I was able to attend a regionalization, one of the classes on that was unbelievable. That's why I learned so much about it. Title IX, which I totally got lost in it. There was a lot of lawyers in the class. It was a big law class that was extremely difficult. That's why I said I had a lot of questions about the Title IX after going to that class for an hour and a half. it explains so many things differently than our policies have. So I had a lot of questions for our attorney, and I thought he'd be here, so that's something for another day. I'll definitely ask. There's also, I went to a class on policing that had SROs in today's day. I went to one, a very big one with the Secret Service on threat assessment. And I have to tell you, they're coming up with cutting edge ways. But again, the same thing that they say all the time, keep your doors locked and you'd be surprised. Threat assessment works. That's what you need. We need to put more focus on that in this district. I thank Mr. Flynn over there. I see him. He hates when I do this. But everybody that I spoke to knew him at the conference or knew of him and said, you have the best of the best. And everything I was asking them about, I know people were bringing up metal detectors because of other districts doing it. And I did say that I understand both sides to it. There's new equipment that's coming in, but there's new equipment that you can look into, the ones that they have at Disney World that I also said, where they show you a weapon right on the screen. So it's not invasive. The kids actually walk right through it, and it's on the sides or above, and you don't even know it's there except for it pinpoints on the screen. It's AI pretty much. But the issues, like I said, is like anything else. All of this equipment you have to keep in working gear. Also, if you open a back door, it only works for where it is. So can it deter stuff? Sure. Is it going to work all the time? Absolutely not. So that was something that I had said there's some flaws with that. I went to a class on boards and difficult conversations on controversy. I went to a podcast that they did on all different learning for students. I'm just trying to find the list I have here. Hold on a second. And I went to, here we go. I went to addressing student on and off campus behavior and speech. I went to the district goal setting, which I brought back. I actually sent an email to the board requesting immediately for us to try again to have a goal setting meeting, because I was told while we were there that the vision should be one sweet sentence, short and sweet and to the point, and it should be changed annually. And that your goals should be 3 to 5 years, because again, it could take up to 3 to 5 years to have goals reached, through data and stuff. But I went to one on harnessing the potential of scholastic esports. I went to onboarding new trustees. I went to mass shootings in schools from prevention to response. I went to how sources of strength positively impacts the school community and education. It was very hard because I'd go into some, like I went into the title and I had to stay into the Title IX regulations and their impact on New York public schools. That one I had to stay the whole time, so I missed some of the others. There was a bunch on solving the educator workforce crisis, special education 101, staffing, impossible to staff positions. I went to so many classes, and I just want to thank the community and the board, because I do feel every board member should try to go in their tenure on the board, because it really does, you do bring back so much information and you do learn so much. Like it's just unbelievable. But the networking you do after each class and the people you meet, I was able to see that Central Islip sent a whole bunch of their board members. Port Jeff had a bunch of their board members there. So it wasn't like I was there and there was Suffolk County was there in full force, and they had a lot of people went, more than one board member. I was there by myself, but they had board members, attorneys, superintendents, assistants. There was a lot of people there, and in the future, it would be nice to see more people go and learn. It's a lot of learning and a lot of good stuff to know.
Thank you. And also another thing that you mentioned that I was not aware of, because I couldn't go because I couldn't commit myself to the 3 days. But you said that some districts were actually sharing the pass with board members that couldn't. One could go Saturday, one can go Sunday, and they would share the pass.
Well, this is what they had said. I had said to Doc, I'm not sure if they shared the pass or if they paid the $560 and they just went for one day. I said it would be good if we found out. Could you? Could we?
Because that would be.
Because that's what I was saying. Right. Could you get a pass and say, today we want to send one board member? Because you said you could go a day. April said maybe I could go a day. Maybe next year call up NYSSMA and say, hey, listen, we want to go, but we want to share. We want to go 2 different board members. one day, one the other day. Can we pay the $560 or do we have to pay for each? Because there were people there that only came for one day. I can tell you that. I know I spoke to a bunch of them and they were like, we're only staying one day. Some districts didn't pay for them to stay over, or some districts said, some people didn't want to pay out of pocket and then get reimbursed. There was a lot of different things going on. But like I said, it would be good to find that out.
Yeah, that would be great to find out.
But the other thing that I was surprised that we didn't take advantage of, and we could have, is they had an online platform. They had an online virtual. So this year they did a virtual. It didn't start until Monday. So they only did it Monday and then Tuesday. So you would have only missed the stuff on Sunday. Saturday, also, I will say this. I wish I would have known. I was told originally from the old district clerk that the law one that we went to, the law conference we went to a few months ago, was the same. It was not. The law conference there was actually different. So people that had gone, me and Jackie, to the law conference from Suffolk County, all went to the law conference Saturday. So I would have actually went Saturday and done that, because they said they learned a lot about the Title IX, the regionalization, all that stuff was part of the law conference. So in the future, I got to look at, it's good to look at, like I said, I want to throw a shout out to Mrs. Incerillo, because not only was she incredible, but she printed out, so I didn't have to bring in a laptop. I brought my own binder filled with all the slides. So while everybody was watching me, while I sat down, they would say, where'd you get that from? I didn't get a printout. I said, my district clerk did it. And they were saying, wow, Jackie, she must be great. I said, she's amazing. They all were looking at it. It was awesome because you can take notes on the books. I know you took a lot of time and effort, and I really appreciate it. A lot of these people couldn't get on the Wi-Fi because it was over 1,000 people, and they couldn't get on it to even use the slides. So they had to look at it, from far away or whatever. I had it right on in the book, was able to take notes. And if any of the board members want, they're welcome to make photocopies of whatever I have.
Thank you.
I just wanted to add to that. I wanted to thank, I know you thanked us, but thank you for going, because you are able to bring back a lot of information to those of us, the rest of us who couldn't go. So thank you for doing that. And of course, thank you for, for allowing, the board for allowing her to go, because it seems like there is a lot of valuable information that you were able to learn there, and you can bring that back to us. So, I mean, and it's great. You have, as the most experienced, you've been on the board the longest, and you really can soak up all that extra knowledge to bring it back to us. So thank you for taking the time away from your family and doing this.
Oh, no problem.
Accountability, Ms. Napolitano-Ferno.
So it's actually one of our speakers that I got up and spoke. I actually appreciate her speaking. She has a lot of experience in this district, and I appreciate what she said, because that's where I was going with accountability. So we have all these policies. The policies are all great. The problem is if you don't enforce policies, and then when you do, people get upset that you enforce the policy. That's where the problem is in our district, between accountability, enforcing policies, not enforcing policies, and also the biggest problem that I have is the communication. There has been a true lack of communication this year. I know I echoed it last time, and I'm sorry to bring it up again, but it has to get better. It can't be that people are telling us something, like, for instance, people are telling me about this or that, and then I call up the super and he tells me, okay, let me look into that. But it's already on social media. How does other people know about something that the board should know about? There are things that in this district, we need to get better with communication. We need to get better with holding people accountable. We need to do better with actually following policy, and not just following it, but also making sure that we follow through. The other aspect of accountability is we continue having all these programs that we want to start, which I think is great. Like we said, you want to do the bilingual, I want to do the College 101. We all have these things that we aspire to bring into the district. We need to figure out, that's why we need to have the goal setting. We need to figure out where we're going to go with these things, because fiscally, we aren't going to be able to financially do them all, at least not in 1 year. So we need to make a list of which ones are the most important to us as a whole, which ones we can make district goals from, and then we need to run with them and stick with it. I see too many programs that start but never finish. or we start something and then it just goes to the wayside. And I'm like, oh, how's that program? I don't know. I wanted for the longest time sign language. We brought sign language into our book, but then when kids signed up for it at the high school, I was told it's hard to get a teacher. We couldn't get a lot of kids, but then I heard that the kids that signed up, I think it was like 6 or 7, there was 6 or 7 kids in another class that we run. So I said, okay, if we're running other classes, that I don't think we should be running classes that small, but if we are, because it's something that's a specialized, I'm just saying, if we're gonna put something in these books and we're gonna add electives, because we could add the elective you want, we could add the elective I want, but if we don't actually do anything but put it in the book, what good is it? We need to start from A and go all the way to Z before we start at A again with another program or policy.
Literacy and STEM learning, Ms. Napolitano-Ferno.
And I apologize, Mrs. Poppy. This is going to be questions just for you to bring back to me for the next board meeting if you can. Okay, I don't want to put you on the spot. It's just that I obviously put that on I want to say like 2 weeks ago, a week ago. And then I was away and I meant to send you an email and I apologize.
Before you raise the question, we are going to have a number like we did last year of presentations. For example, in November, we're going to have student services and we're going to have special education. Not December, but then in January, we have 2 board meetings in January. We're going to do like we did last year. We're going to have elementary and secondary presentations. So some of your questions, well, certainly Ms. Poppy could look to follow up at our next meeting or so, might be able to go into more depth with the people when they present.
Okay, well, like I said, a lot of it is a lot of things I wanted to bring in admin from building level and the board didn't support it. The board doesn't seem to want to hear from people unless you guys bring them in. I don't understand. Years ago, we always brought admin in to talk. It was never that we had to wait until we did a presentation with 20 people at once. I would have liked to have building admin here to talk about programs tonight, but again, outvoted, all good. So, Mrs. Poppy, does iReady give us our literacy scores? That's the first one. Do we, you know what, I can even picture shot this and send it to you too. If it makes it easier, I'll copy and paste it.
That would be great.
Yeah.
My shorthand is terrible.
Yeah, because it's really more of a statement because like I said, I went to one of the classes and I learned a lot. They said, do we have the ability to compare against other districts our size? I understand we're unable to really compare our district scores well because we have a large opt-out rate here in Connecticut. The state tests would give us that data. In the beginning, people opted out. I am an opt-out parent, but because it was thought to be used as a metric for measuring teacher performance. However, we know that no child learns the same, so it would be poor judgment to base a teacher's teaching skills off of that. As a society, we are learning that there are markers for literacy deficits, such as dyslexia, much younger than 4th grade. There are programs run such as Wilson, but they are not a one-size-fits-all. What are the current programs we use and how many teachers are currently certified to teach them? Because I do know that dyslexia is becoming more of an issue and we have less certified people teaching it. I know we've actually had to bring people for the kids, giving them tutoring, send them out. Parents have had to look for themselves. And then the one last thing was, this is across the board and not just for special education. So it would serve us well to know at a younger age if students and children are struggling with literacy skills, as some studies have shown that children with poor reading and comprehension skills will struggle to make good decisions and the consequences of those decisions as they age.
Thank you. And was there a STEM component or is that all, that's literacy including STEM?
Literacy including STEM.
Great.
Thank you. Goals, Ms. Napolitano-Ferno.
So I had sent an email to the board in regard to setting board goals. I was very excited about what I had learned at, like I said, at the conference. And when I sent the email, it was met with resistance. So I'm asking this board again to set a date to go over board goals, because this district, regardless what some board members think, saying that the superintendent's not waiting for us and steering the ship, that was told to me in an email. That's not how it's supposed to run with board goals. We need goals that help us, that help then turn into the district goals that then we go into our vision and mission statement. We have not done that in years. We have tried. I have been involved in 2 retreats, and both were not well done. The person who came in was great, but they weren't bought in. There was no buy-in from the members. So if we don't buy in and we walk out and already starting up again, it's not worth it. So I prefer to do, like I said, board goals in public, a public meeting with a live stream, community input, do surveys, have a committee, whatever we need to do, but our stakeholders should be involved, not behind closed doors like the last one, not opening a door and saying it's a meeting. We should have live streaming. I would be for, at this point, bringing in Jamie again. He did an incredible job. If you'd like to do a retreat, that is up to you guys. Figure it out. I'm not sending another email after April's response. I feel at this point, if you don't want to do one because you want to throw mud, that's okay. But you're only hurting the students and your constituents who have a right to move forward in this district.
So I'll comment. It's late, and I really don't want to, but I want to be transparent. So we tried all last year, numerous times, to have a meeting on board goals, and one member refused many times, with many reasons why. I'm not going to read them, but many. So then this year, I really wanted to have board goals. So we pushed. And finally, we came up with a date. It was the most unprofessional. We did nothing. More or less, we had a live meeting that was not being videoed. The one board member ranted about how we weren't videoing. She herself ripped out her camera, screaming, yelling. She didn't like the way the room was set up. We couldn't get through one full sentence. Now, I'll read this. I'll read the piece of my email. Just for everybody's knowledge, Dr. C did come up with I'll just read my email then, okay? Jack, although I'm glad you realize the importance of setting goals for our students and district, you can't expect me to jump now that you are ready. Marisol asked for this meeting numerous times last year. You refused to commit to a date. We then tried this year and finally got a date. We had a date this year for public session. Everything was a problem. The way the room was set up was a problem. The meeting not being videoed was a problem. It was insane. We couldn't get through one full sentence without you interjecting. I'm not up for a session of being yelled at the entire time. No work gets done. It's very unproductive. Dr. C came up with a plan based on all stakeholders, including what the board has said throughout the last year we wanted. I went over it and agree with most. He's not waiting for the board to get together to get the district running in a positive, progressive way. If you can agree to move through a meeting in a professional way, not circling the entire time, repeating over and over, giving others a chance to speak, conducting business, not gossip, not putting other board members down, and taking it seriously, I will be willing to try and work my schedule out. My time, like most, is precious and needs to be productive for the greater good.
Okay, well, I was at the convention right after I had actually called and was excited telling the district pro temp. I then sent an email, goals, vision, mission. And that was the response to this. Marisol, I just took an outstanding class with Jamie from NYSSMA. He did the last 2 retreats I was part of in our district. He stated very clearly that open meetings law requires this done in a public setting with stakeholder and student voices needing to be heard. I had requested a week or so ago a new date. We are looking to hire a new clerk and have interviews, yet we have not made time to meet for Board of Ed goals, which needs to be done in public and help drive change this year. I'd appreciate if you or Christina can see when everyone can be available. This is important and needs to encourage stakeholder and public participation, as well as a possible student survey so their voices are heard as well. Please have goals added for Board of Ed discussions on the 28th. My hope is a date is available to give to the public for an upcoming meeting, special goals meeting. Thank you, Jackie Napolitano.
Great. And what was my response?
You want me to read it? Sure. Hi, Jax. I agree that we need to work on a new date for board goals. I believe when we tried last time, everyone was busy through most of November. We can certainly try again. Christina, can you please poll the board again on dates to meet for a public board goal workshop? Thank you. Then I wrote, Marisol, we should be making more of an effort to help this meeting ASAP, considering I had sent, this is the second email that I've asked for a board goals meeting in 2 weeks. We can push off the interviews for district clerk. If people have time for interviews, then they should have time for Board of Ed goals and vision. This does not need to be a long meeting, but surveys need to be discussed and community participation. If some can't make time for the 2 to 3 months, that is absolutely ridiculous, and then they may not want to be part of the first meeting for it. I will bring this up in public next meeting since people have questioned when we are going to reschedule because community members are interested in attending and participating. Why would this email get a response like that, April? For somebody who says you're for civility, you're for peace, love, and everything else, my email did not warrant your nasty response. My emails warranted a professional environment for all of us to work together. You writing that was digs, immaturity, and unprofessional.
I have sat through all of this with you. I have been yelled at. I've been put down. I have watched, in nauseam. So people don't know the whole background. Like I said, although you can't expect me to jump. And that's my last sentence on the topic, so we can move on.
Well, I'm not ready to move on yet, because one thing I will say is this. You have screamed at assistant supers in front of me, made me uncomfortable. You screamed at the superintendent, because you do everything in executive. You have screamed at the superintendent. You have screamed at Jackie D. You've argued with me constantly. You have no right to act like you're so innocent. It's a joke. The email was professional and you were unprofessional. And the right answer for you now should be, you know what, Jackie, in hindsight, I thought about it, and really, we should just do board goals because we're not here to be friends. We're here to move the district forward. You're not here to move the district forward. You're here to hide things behind closed doors. You don't want community participation, or we would have had live streaming at the last board meeting. We wouldn't have walked into a close-knit desks like a retreat. It was set up as a retreat. You and Marisol had it like a retreat. Marisol at least had the decency to say, you know what? It's on me. We didn't have live streaming. It's on me. We didn't have a district clerk. It's on me. It was in a retreat setting. I get it. You may not understand that because you are new and don't understand what a retreat looks like. But what we walked into was a retreat. And we did not agree to a retreat. We agreed to a public board goals, vision, mission statement meeting. I wanted community participation, and it seems you do not.
Anybody else? I do have regionalization, but we already spoke about it. So does anybody have any other topics they would like to discuss?
Yeah, I wanted to bring up, and I didn't add it because it was only 2 days ago, but Safe Halloween. I just wanted to bring that up, that it really was, again, adorable. It was fantastic. Thank you to the advisors who put that together. My kids loved it. They had a great time with it. And I actually have something that was brought up to me that I thought might be something that could happen. I know that it's done by student government. And the event, of course, is hosted by the high school, and it's meant for children from preschool to 5th grade. But there's nothing for them, like, not that the middle school kids can't come, but what about a possibility, I'm just throwing this out there, to collaborate with the middle school student governments and maybe offer for them to have a table they could dress up. They love doing that. And, have RMS a table or two, or BMS a table or two, just to kind of include them. And then maybe, they can also, trick or treat, but just to incorporate them, those students. Yeah. And I said, I thought that was a great idea. I said, that might be something nice for them to do. So I just want to kind of throw that out there as a thought to the advisors, because it is such a great event. Why not expand upon it for next year and include the middle school students? It was definitely great. Yep. And then the last thing that I just wanted to bring up, just as a response to a public comment before about that we're not listening, I just wanted to give, it's hard to see, the reason why it looks like I'm not listening is because I'm taking notes on what everyone is saying. So maybe it might look like I'm not listening, but I am. I also have hearing aids, which help a little bit too. So I just wanted to clarify that. So if anybody thinks I'm sitting here doing nonsense, I'm actually taking notes and listening to what everyone is saying around me. Thank you.
Well, and I'm just not going to look at people if they think I'm smirking at them and everything. I smile a lot. I'm, there's only so much you can be, ridiculed from the same person over and over for the last 6 years before you are like, okay, But the reality is, I'm going to say this, congratulations to all of the sports teams that have gone undefeated. Congratulations to all of them who have, I don't want to miss anyone, so I don't want to go into them, but I am going to say that I attended the volleyball game for the boys varsity. I came to and Safe Halloween. They did an incredible job. Safe Halloween was awesome. Thank you so much. They were so great with my great niece came and she's only 7 months old and everybody was so wonderful. The kids were great. Thank you so much. And also, like I said, tomorrow will be, I'm sure you know all the sports. I just know for tomorrow, the varsity playoffs for for volleyball, the boys playing at Sachem North, the Sachem North School. So if you guys want to go and cheer on the guys, it's a great game. The matches were incredible to watch on Saturday. They literally, they were really great volleys, great game, great job, guys.
The only thing for tomorrow's volleyball game is that because they are in round 2 of playoffs, there are tickets that you have to purchase to go watch them.
Yeah, I think the fee is $7 if I'm not mistaken.
I think $7 or $8.
And congratulations to the soccer team that came so far. Congratulations to the tennis team that went undefeated. Congratulations to our football team that's going to be playing this Friday. If you guys want to come out, cheer on the T-Birds. Like I said, all these teams are swimming, all the teams that have made it, field hockey, everybody who's gone out of their way to help these teams, to cheer these teams on. Thank you. And looking forward to more playoff games.
I know Halloween is Thursday. I know Thursday's Halloween, but the boys varsity soccer are playing their first playoff game at home on Thursday. So if any T-Birds want to go support the boys varsity soccer, they're playing, I believe, at 4 or 5 o'clock. 4 o'clock on Thursday. I know it's Halloween. Sorry, guys.
Is it home?
They are home. They are the higher
Okay,
seed.
awesome. Good luck to them too.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Can I please call for a motion and a second to approve the instructional personnel item as presented and the non-instructional personnel item as amended?
Motion. Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Can I call for a motion and a second to approve items 2 through 17 of the consent agenda?
Motion. Second.
Any questions from the board?
Yeah, I have a question about, I believe it's number 12. I hope nothing has changed on there. Learn Well. I know we've had them before, and last time that we had this, I did not approve it because they have a very strong commitment to DEI, this organization. I went back and I looked at a previous meeting. I think it was May 28th. And I want to make sure that we're going to keep this out. We want to make sure we keep the racial bias out and we keep the politics out. And I'm sure it's going to go through, but I really would love to see if we can find something else that is comparable to this, something else. And when we're looking for these kinds of programs, to look for things that are not so political, to keep them out of our district.
Is Learn Well the one that is for the kids when they're hospitalized to give the tutoring that it's out, but it's our curriculum, right?
So the piece of it is that we had our director of student services just do a little bit of research, contact the company in an effort to learn more about the company itself. The credentials are provided through the company and their service. And the contact at the company indicated that they are all state certified tutors, that they are just implementing standards aligned instruction in the subject areas that are needed. So what happens is that this is for students who are inpatient in certain hospitals or facilities. So the district, it's the company that the hospital uses or the facility uses to provide the tutoring service. So it's not as if the district makes the choice per se as far as selecting an agency to provide the instruction. It's what's available. What we are responsible for is educating the students while they're spending time in a different location. And so that's kind of where it comes from. And I know that you had concerns about it previously, but I do want to just reiterate that our Director of Student Services ensured that despite, so I looked at the website too, and I think I know what you are concerned about, that the service provided is curriculum-based, essentially aligned to the state standards and the subject areas that are being treated.
Also, number 4, the textbook adoption. I have to be fair and consistent. In the past, I would not approve a new textbook without seeing it. I know you guys offered, but since I didn't get to see it and have time to look through it, I would have needed that. I'm going to have to abstain tonight. But again, it's not your fault. It's my fault for not coordinating to get a copy. But I did it with math. I did it with social studies. I approved social studies after going through the book. I want to make sure that I stay consistent.
Absolutely. I have a copy.
Yeah, if I could just take it home and then bring it back to you, that would be great.
Not a problem.
Anybody else? All right, so I'm going to call for a motion and a second to approve items 2, 3, and 5 through 17.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Call for a motion and a second to approve item number 4.
Motion.
Seconds.
Ms. Iannatelli?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Ms. Napolitano-Ferno?
I'm abstaining until I see the book.
Ms. DiLorenzo?
I'm going to abstain as well because I usually like to see the books before I approve them.
And Ms. Torregrossa?
Yes.
Motion passes. I will now open the floor for the second open public comment portion of the agenda. I will call individuals forward one at a time. Is there anybody wishing to speak? Okay. I will call individuals forward one at a time. Please wait for my acknowledgement before stepping up to the podium. You should have received a number card from security on your way in. If you have not, please see the security guard in the back of the room. Any person wishing to address the board shall address the board president. Comments should be kept as brief as possible and relate to school matters only. Each person should be limited to 3 minutes for one or more topics. Individual employees, parents, or children should not be identified by name, title, position, grade, or building. The use of foul language and threatening comments will not be tolerated, and the board will consider a recess until order is restored. In accordance with policy 1230, public comment will not exceed 30 minutes. If there are additional persons wishing to speak, the board may consider a motion to extend the time. Number 1.
Okay, I have some questions, but it's all the same. Could we all agree that when the children go to school, they are under the care of the school, correct? They should be under the supervision of the school, correct? The school should know where all the children are at all times, correct? Because otherwise they'd be out of supervision. That would be problematic, right? That is your job. You're supposed to know when your children go to school. They should know where you are. So if that's the case, can you please explain to me why Parent Square sends me messages 2.5 hours later, 3 hours later, your child missed whatever class at the high school. You can't say for the other schools. That's wonderful. One, every single time the child has either been maybe with guidance, maybe visiting with a college with guidance, a music lesson, something along those lines. So what it's saying is that they didn't know where that kid was. Nobody communicated where that child was. Every classroom has a telephone, so somebody could call and say, I have XYZ children. You have that thousands and thousands of dollars scholarship that we're supposed to utilize to see where all the kids are in an emergency situation. Wouldn't it be an emergency if you don't know where a student is? So if you say that a student's missing, I don't know, 4th period, but they were there 3rd, they didn't disappear into thin air. They have to be somewhere in the building. What if something's happening somewhere in the building to that child? Nobody knows where that kid is. So it was so nice. So today, again, and every time I send a note in that says, please learn to communicate better and figure out where all of the children are during the day, because I'm about done with this. This is never ending. How do you not know where the kids are? And then I love when I get a letter like, your kid missed whatever period, like hours and hours later after school. So that's great that we have this notification system. What if that kid was missing all those hours and no one even thought about it? But I'm so glad that we have this scholar chip that's so important to know where all the kids are all the time. Thousands of dollars because they were going to be able to tell. It's an emergency if you don't know where the kids are. Why is there no communication? Why is it? There should be a clear set way to say if a child is at XYZ. One of my own children came in late to a class with a pass. They're a substitute, but there's sure to be a system, so it's not the substitute's fault. They had a pass. They weren't even late, but they gave the pass anyway. They were marked absent. I get a notification 2-3 hours later that my child missed the class in the middle of the day. Students missing in the middle of the day, you should know where they are. We don't even have an open campus, so it's not like the kids go out. How do you not know where the kids are all day long? This is problematic. And you can't say that you don't know that this is happening. It's on the parents. It's digital now. It's not even like, oh, a kid cut class and someone didn't write it up. It's marked. Everything has a digital footprint. How do we not know where the kids are? And then we're going to talk safety and security. You know, let's have metal detectors. Let's have this. We don't even know where the kids are that are in the school. I'm sorry. You have to do better.
I need to answer because
Thank you.
I have something to say. Just so you know, I actually had an issue with Parent Square going back about 3 weeks ago, very similar. There was notifications coming to me that my kids were tardy or not in class and not in school all day. I did call up the high school administration. They did look into it. And at the time, there was some sort of issue with Parent Square when it had just started. I'm just not saying that that's
Okay, we can't, you can come, if you want to come back to the podium, but we can't have the back and forth like
I just
this.
wanted her to let just to know that there was an issue with it, but I do know that I get the same messages and I feel the same way. So
Number 2.
A couple of questions. I have to talk fast. You know, I like the idea, you know, April, that she did have questions.
Just turn the mic on.
Yep, child awareness. It's a legitimate question she had because that is the second highest stipend in the district. No, I had the same kind of concerns when they were painting this high school. When I heard $40,000 to clean it up, that was a lot of money. You add it all together, it's a lot of money, and really, it's not educating the child. So she's being fiscally responsible by looking at the budget and things that pop out. And if you're going to do it twice, does that mean the stipend is double? You know, I mean, I don't know. If I was sitting there, I should have asked that question. But well, let's move on to something that's more fun, Mrs. Poppy. I keep hearing, well, I don't keep hearing, but I heard, you know, that it's a new math program. And Mike, I'm just curious, rather than keep getting new math programs when it's not working, is it better maybe to teach the teacher all the new techniques there are, maybe because kids learn differently? I don't have an answer for that, but I'm just curious. You don't have to answer now, so I only have 3 minutes. But I would like an answer. Goals. Are you want to set goals for middle school? Do you want to set goals for the high school? Do you want to set general goals? Before you even bring community into it, you with administration, not just the superintendent, with administration have to sit together and to think where you want to go with this. I mean, it can be turn out to be ridiculous, or you set 3 goals, 2 goals, 1 goal. The mission statement Connect What has is pretty good, actually. If I say so myself, I think it's very good. But it's a vision statement that's the most important thing. You should look at the vision statement, pick a vision. Dr. Senimore, you're the one that's going to be carrying out that vision. And that's just for a year. But if you don't have a vision, you have nothing. You're just sitting here talking. So that's really, that's all I'm really going to say.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Number 3. Go.
I think every one of you on the school board, taking an oath of office, saying that you're going to do the best you can to your ability, really should make it a point to go to a convention. Otherwise, don't be on the school board. There really is no excuse. We used to go as a team. The superintendent went. The lawyer was there all the time. So we understood what our responsibility was as a board. Our responsibility is not to let kids walk. Our responsibility is to focus on policy.
I just need you to wrap
I'm wrapping up.
Yep.
We knew what our responsibilities were. You guys really don't.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there a number 3? Okay. Can I have a motion?
One more thing.
Okay.
I totally forgot to bring this up, but it's a good thing to end with. So I had people send me through a social media site, and then I sent the picture to Dr. Centimore, a retired principal from Sachem, a retired superintendent from Sachem, had posted something that's so beautiful. It's the seniors on the football field walking towards the elementary kids. It looked like either kindergarten or preschool, kindergarten, first grade, but that looked like kindergarten. It was magnificent. I know that the football team, along with the athletic department, did an incredible job bringing to life the most beautiful homecoming that I loved. I would love to see this be the next thing that they can bring to life. Let the kids, the seniors, walk across the field to show I know that we do the walk in each school, which I think is very nice, but this was something totally different. I got to find out more information on it, but it just was so beautiful. They walked across the field, and then the kids went and spoke to the other kids, it looks like. I would love if we could get more information on that, because it just looked spectacular. I see what all these other districts are doing, and I would love to start doing that kind of stuff here, like we did the walkthroughs for elementary. Let's bring some of that positivity and that stuff for our seniors to show the elementary kids. They walk through the hallways, and that's awesome at the elementary schools. But how great would it be for them to walk across the field and it show them, this is us. This is what you guys are going to be doing. It's just amazing. That's the good stuff.
Can I call for a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting?
Motion. April's in the bathroom. Can
I need a
somebody
second.
second? She's in the bathroom, I think.
She is not here.
I'll second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Have a good night, everyone.